All right, welcome in to Hanna Time on a Thursday night here at JJ's Grub Shack in East Mesa, Arizona. Thursday night football is going on right now. Great game. It's really starting to heat up as these two teams, Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers, are going to go out for first place early on in the season. But it's going to be a great game, great finish, what we are anticipating. We'll get more into that in this show, throughout the show, as we watch the game and monitor it too with you. But we got a lot of NFL stuff. A lot of baseball stuff, a lot of fun, weird sports stories too, along with it. But before we do that, and before we get you all running through this whole show and things like that, I'm going to go ahead and give you a 30-second countdown. Get yourself ready. Get your comments. Don't forget, you can log in live on the show, express your comments, anything about sports, right here on Hanna Time, live from JJ's Grub Shack in East Mesa, Arizona. 30 seconds right now. All right, welcome back to Hanna Time right here on a sports Thursday night, football night here at JJ's Grub Shack here in East Mesa, Arizona. Hey, if you're just checking in on the score, if you haven't watched it and listened to or anything so far, Chiefs are down 10-7 after a great Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. They are, in a battle tonight, and you're going to find out more about these two teams. The Chargers look good on Sunday too in their big game. But it was a closer game with the Raiders. And now you're going to find out more about these teams as we get further into September, more games, and we'll know more about them in about 3 weeks, about who they are. All right. Week one, yeah, teams were ready and teams were not. Now these two teams, we're going to find out. It's going to be a bloodbath. We'll keep your eye on it right now. As a lot of excitement here, a lot of Chiefs fans behind me, and we'll keep you posted too on right here on a Thursday night here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network itself. Hanna Time, Cornelius, Brad, Hanna. All right, let's roll right into it. You know, if your NFL season's just begun and your team is 0-1 or 1-0, and you're hoping to get to 2-0 or get that one win to be 1-1, there is some hope if you're 1-1, and there's some really good hope if you're 2-0. And this is about teams in the NFL that are going to get to the playoffs. If you go 2-0, you're pretty much on your way to a playoff run. All right. There's a statistic out there I'm going to show you too. We're going to break it down. If you are looking at getting to the Super Bowl, you got to get to 2-0 with a certain stat I'm going to show you right now on the screen itself. I want you to look at it. Okay. I want you to look at this right here. The Los Angeles Rams, for one, became the second team eventually to win a Super Bowl in the past 5 years to begin the season 2-0. Of the 56 total Super Bowl champions, okay, you're going to read it with me here, 35 of them, 63% basically, won their first two games of the season. So every Super Bowl, there has been a Super Bowl team that's gone the last 56 Super Bowls, right? The 56 Super Bowls have gone at least 2-0. So there's going to be a team that goes 2-0 that will make the Super Bowl, guaranteed, because it's been like that for 56 years in a row, okay? Now, looking on the screen itself, you can see right now after 2 weeks, the records since 1990, these are the numbers and percentages. If you go 2-0, you make the playoffs at 63%. You win the division at 41%. And you don't see it, it's on the screen, but it's like 7%. You win the Super Bowl itself. You go 1-1, making the playoffs is like 42%. Still not bad, right? And then winning the division drops off to 24%. So you can see it just drops off pretty drastically if you don't go 2-0. But 1-1 still good. Teams make it, okay? If you go 0-2, making the playoffs is at 11%. So those teams who have yet to win a ball game so far, you got to get this one this weekend to get to 1-1, and hopefully you get that 42 percentile to make the playoffs. Winning the division at 0-2, nearly 6% of the teams have won the division. All right. There's a stat for you right there. Keep that in mind, though. That's pretty much how you hear it every year, but you needed to see it and hear about it more. Here's another stat for you, too, as we go through this NFL. Week 1 is done. Week 2 is on our way right now. As we're watching the game right now, Patrick Mahomes itself and Justin Herbert going at it. This has been the mark of the season for Week 2. These two quarterbacks to kick it off. This is all calculated to make sure in prime time you get the best quarterbacks, the best names, the prime names itself. And this is how the NFL is going to do it, as the new generation of great quarterbacks are now becoming the primetime elite. As the old ones are leaving, these two quarterbacks right now are elevated to that spot because they got Thursday night. They're playing great. Both teams have great promises, and they play in the same division itself. But here's a number and stat for you right now. With 3 touchdown passes today, Matt Mahomes has already got 1 touchdown pass already. If he gets 2 more, right, it'll be 15 games for the second most such games by a player in the first 3 seasons ever. Okay, Dan Marino did it 18 times. Okay, 18 times with 3 touchdown passes. So it's Marino's number 1 at 18, Mahomes at 15, and then Justin Herbert right there at the bottom of the screen also is on the screen. He also has another one for tonight, touchdown passes too. So that's why they want this game. These are the top 2 quarterbacks right now in the NFL in the way of Tom Brady, and also you got to throw in Aaron Rodgers too. You can't forget about that. Don't forget that, because Aaron Rodgers last year itself, he got blown out in the first game, the Packers. So you got to realize the Packers got blown out and then made it to the playoffs. So, and they had a great season. We don't know how it plays out, but just don't count the Packers out just because they had a bad game. All right, so just keep that in mind. But as you watch this game tonight so far, and if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, you're thinking to yourself, all right, we must be pretty bad. Because the Chiefs look good, but they don't look like the team that played against the Cardinals. So how far off are the Cardinals? Their coach said it last week after the game, or this week, after a practice, basically saying, now we know we can measure ourselves against, this is what you do. You wait for week 1 of the NFL. So as you watch the start of the Chiefs game against the Chargers, the Chiefs were down 10-0, and you're sitting there going, how bad are the Cardinals? Now, you got to wait and see how the Cardinals play this week, if they respond or not, and we'll know more about that. And the same thing with the Chargers too tonight. They had a nice lead against the Raiders. The Raiders made a great comeback, just lost by 1 possession, just needed the ball back one more time, and they got a lot of hype too. These 2 teams will go far, but at the same time, we got a lot to play for here and a lot to look forward to. But you just never know. A lot of teams got a lot of hype early. But as you know in the NFL, that it doesn't always play out that way. If you go back at least the last 5 seasons itself. All right. More numbers here about the NFL as we head into week 2 here on Hanna Time. And there we go. Right, popping on the screen here. Players with the most consecutive games with at least 5 receptions in NFL history. So Antonio Brown, he's at the top of the list. Too bad he's not in the league right now. But 36 games, most consecutive games, at least 5 receptions. DeAndre Hopkins, Cardinal now, he got to wait till week 6 or so to get back. He's at 23 consecutive games of at least 5 receptions. And Cooper Kupp of the Los Angeles Rams is having an explosive season again. Last week started off great. He's at 22. He's right now currently the most active player because Hopkins hasn't made it back yet. And we'll have to wait and see. But a little tidbit there on some more numbers and stats on the NFL itself. Here's more for you, too, with Justin Herbert. 300, at least 300 passing yards in one game. This is most games with at least 300 passing yards in the first 3 seasons. So Andrew Luck, think about Andrew Luck. He retired early, whatever reason, banged up, a lot of concussions. He left the game early, but he left the game with 19 games for the first 3 seasons of 300 yards passing. Pretty tremendous. That's great stuff right there. Justin Herbert is right behind him now at 17. Pat Mahomes, both these quarterbacks, this is why they're on prime time right now. This is why it's Thursday night. This is what the NFL needed and what they want, and they're going to keep showcasing their talent. So Mahomes at 17, and Kurt Warner the Hall of Famer itself, at 17 games too. All right, so that's one of the reasons why you want to watch the game tonight. You're watching what the NFL feels is their best two quarterbacks in the league, young quarterbacks that's going to go at it in the same division for years to come. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to just keep hearing it and be fed all season long, year after year. Herbert, Mahomes, Herbert, right? But the one thing that Mahomes has is a title, but he has yet to do it with Herbert in the league. So these are all the little dialogues and narratives that you're going to be hearing when these two guys keep going at it around the NFL itself. So the game is still 10-7 Chargers, tight battle. It looks like a good game in the first half too. But here's another stat for you. I think did I show this one already? Yeah, I did. Got you for it. All right. Big news out of the NFL. It's official now. J.J. Watt is going to play this season. They're saying at least by week 6 of the NFL season, he's allowed to come back by week 6 itself. With that being said, with T.J. Watt itself, I would hold off on T.J. I would not let T.J. because like his brother J.J. He came back a little too soon, and now he has this continuous pectoral torn muscle. The Steelers, you're going to be fine. You're going to be right in the hunt for a playoff spot, maybe division. You got enough talent on that defense to get through the next 6 to 8 weeks. If I was the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would just wait 2 months, get into late November or whatever it is to let this guy heal and get it ready for the stretch run where you're going to be right in the middle of things, because I think the Steelers are a really good team. I think they got a great defense. TJ made them elite. If Trubisky and the Steelers' offensive line can really find their groove and get it together, which is possible, they have a lot of talent. This team can actually be elevated to another level if that offense finds its way. And we'll see what happens. They did beat the Bengals and didn't do a lot on offense other than some field goals and one offensive touchdown. But it was their defense and T.J. Watt and a lot of others, 7 sacks. So take it easy. Let this guy heal. And T.J. Watt himself was pretty excited on his own Twitter account saying I'll be back. So he's excited. The news came back, and I'm sure his brother JJ is excited for him too. Coming up in a little bit here, we're going to be talking to somebody from Las Vegas. We're going to talk boxing, the big fight. Triple G and Canelo, Vegas. This is the 3rd time around, and we can break it all down. I got so much to say about this too between these two fighters, but we're going to wait till Vince Caruso comes on. He's been part of the boxing scene for a few decades, and he's in Vegas, and we're going to talk to him in a little bit if you want to know and hear a lot about this big fight on Saturday night here in Las Vegas, I should say. All right, so we're going to move it along here. Here's some more numbers around the NFL, more statistical things when it comes to sacks. We talk about T.J. Watt. He's second on this list itself. The most sacks in their first 70 NFL games itself since 1982. Reggie White has 79, where T.J. Watt has 62. He's going to miss a bunch of games here. But Derek Thomas from the Chiefs, bless his soul, 61. J.J. Watt, the brother of T.J., at 61. And Myles Garrett, also active right now in the NFL at 60 and a half sacks in the first 70 NFL games. So, you got some prominent sack leaders throughout the NFL playing right now. J.J. Watt is returning this week against the Raiders. What it looks like, it appears, because J.J. himself practiced this week for the Cardinals. Looks like he may be ready to go. And then Myles Garrett had another great game on Sunday. So you still have some prominent, elite, great sack, quarterback guys who get after quarterback in the NFL. So a lot of good things already that the NFL is going to be pushing and looking forward to. It's not just all about the offense here in the NFL. Also, more numbers coming at you here. Let's get back to the passing game too. Look at these guys on the screen. There's one guy that is surprising. If you can see this, he's at the bottom of the list. Are you aware of this guy? Amon St. Brown. Okay, just say St. Brown, and he's at the bottom of the list in 7 games, with the most consecutive games with at least 8 receptions in NFL history. All right, 8 receptions. We talked about Antonio Brown. He continues to have some great Hall of Fame number stuff, but he's not in the league anymore and all that stuff we heard about him. But he's at 8 games, consecutive games with at least 8 receptions. Michael Thomas of the Saints, 8. Anquan Boldin with the Cardinals back in 2005, 7. That's holding on pretty good. Anquan Boldin. Trace Kelce, the Chiefs, 7. He's probably going to have another one tonight. And then they have St. Brown from the Detroit Lions, right? Detroit Lions, most consecutive games, at least 8 receptions in NFL history. This guy, if you're looking for a fantasy guy, I know you don't think about Detroit being an offensive team, but this is the guy they target. This is one of their good guys on their offense, depending on their quarterback situation, like it or not. Here's a name that snuck up on all of us. St. Brown of Detroit, the Lions wide receiver itself, with 7 consecutive games with 8 receptions in NFL history. And, this is a pass-happy league, so we got to figure that out, too, if you haven't. One more numbers out there. This is big news, huge news for global sports, NFL, American football itself. The NFL itself, as you're reading on the screen right there, the NFL itself has joined hands with Germany in the German Professional Football League. And I am very aware about this. I've interviewed some players from Eastern Europe who've always praised and played in the German league, that the best football overseas is in Germany and when it comes to professional football. Now, the level of play, not NFL level, but the NFL has joined hands with the DFL there in Germany, where they're going to work together, going to branch themselves together and move forward in a relationship, which is big news. Big news if you're talking about global sports itself. And the fact that the NFL wants to go global, how far and where does it end up? What decade or so does this all happen when everything in the NFL is all over the place? Do we really truly have a world Super Bowl in about 10 years, maybe? Because the NFL has made a big push, has always made a big push globally. But this is a big one when you're now joining up. I'm going to show you this on the screen one more time here, folks. The NFL and German Football League, DFL, collaborating an agreement, collaboration work to cover areas of shared expertise, including production, broadcasting, programming, digital innovation, marketing. They're going to help what's going on in Europe. And Germany has the most popular league in American football in Europe itself. So NFL and the DFL will collaborate in various business areas also in the future also. So let's keep an eye on that, what the NFL does. But this is just going to continue as the NFL wants to get bigger and bigger overseas. And who's the first team overseas to grab the title, or the first time a team outside the United States legitimately is an NFL team? We'll see if it's Mexico. Let's see if it's Canada, right? We'll have to wait and see if it really gets further across the ocean itself. So that's big news as the NFL announces that a relationship with the German Football League itself. All right, more news right now. Big news coming out of New York with the New York Jets. There's rumors rumbling going on as Mike Francesca out of New York, sports journalist and broadcaster himself, is reporting that Woody Johnson of the New York Jets, the owner, is considering or thinking about selling the New York Jets. And if you're a Jet fan, you may be happy for this. But, the Jets have tried, under Woody himself and under his, I guess, guidance. It just has been just some bad luck, but they have had some good success under his wing, but maybe enough is for him, and he's looking out, and maybe he'll, make a lot of money in the New York market selling that team, the New York Jets. A lot of future, a lot of young prospects. Maybe the timing is right to sell off this team and move on. So the New York Jets considering a rumor out there. We'll see if it's true or not, but it's being reported in the New York area right now and now nationally that the Jets owner thinking about selling it. Wait and see. All right, more news coming out of the AFC East besides the New York Jets. This just came down today, something that kind of surprised me a little bit about the outspoken of people or players, former players itself. And this is about Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who is being ripped up a little bit by Ryan Fitzpatrick, his former teammate. Maybe Fitz has a little bit of beef too because he thought he was the leading guy on that team, and then Tua got the job, but as a rookie. But limited physical, he called it limited physically. He's calling Tua in his ability on the field. Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints, great head coach, Super Bowl champion himself, is calling the same thing. Not sure about Tua's ability and his durability and his physical ability. So, for whatever reason, this came down the pike today, and Tua just got blasted. Even though they beat the Patriots on Sunday, and it looked pretty good. But how good, we'll have to wait and see. He has a lot of weapons in Miami, Tua, and we'll see how this progresses. But a couple of people with a lot of success in the NFL taking some shots or some good opinions about something they notice or know close up with Tua as quarterback in Miami. Wait and stay tuned. Stay tuned with that too. All right. More news around the NFL itself. Where do I want to go next? How about Minkah Fitzpatrick? He gets the NFL defensive AFC Defensive Player of the Week with a pick six, set 14 tackles, right? And here's Jamar Chase, right, giving him the bird during the game. Okay, now, I got to break this down for you. It's highly competitive, Bengals Steelers, right? The game was physical. The game was great. If you haven't watched this game or even know what happened towards the end, just mind-boggling, right? And the Steelers ended up winning in overtime. But Minkah was awesome. He's a safety, plays safety on defense for the Steelers, and he was all over the place. The best player on the field that day was Minkah Fitzpatrick, or it could have been T.J. Watt until he got hurt. But Jamar Chase had a great game, like 10 or 11 receptions, well over 100 yards, right? And there's a lot of trash talking going on. But here's something that bothers me. I can see it, all right? We saw a lot of trash talking going on. But if this guy is throwing up the bird, right, double whammy, right, where's the referees? There is a rule. There is a penalty for taunting in the NFL, right? There is that. There was no taunting here. That's a big deal, right? If you're going to have rule books, have a rule, and not enforce it, and this is wide open. I don't know if the referees just completely missed this, but this looks pretty obvious. Not that the photograph is, framed in one frame, one shot like this, but you would think that somebody's got to be watching two players trashing each other with some words throughout the game that you're gonna have to follow it and watch it and keep making sure it doesn't get too far. This went too far because they don't want any kind of trash talking, but taunting, the taunting penalty. I think they missed one here. Now he probably gets fined, but during that game, that would have been a big penalty on the Bengals. That would have been devastating, a field position, and these kind of penalties hurt, and especially in a close game like that. Little concerned why the NFL kind of missed that one, and I'm sure they missed a lot around all the games. But got to bring that up. Let's see what happens if he doesn't get fined or not. Is Minkah Fitzpatrick? I'm going to be waiting up on our good friend Vince Caruso, who's out of Vegas. Let's see. I don't know if he's going to be able to pop in or not too, but there he goes. There's Vince. Are you driving? Look at this guy. All right, we're going to talk boxing. I got a lot more NFL stuff, but since he's on, I had him on at 6:30, but I'm going to pop him on because he's ready to go. All right. Welcome into the show, Vince Caruso. Vince, come on, make it on. I know I can see you, but maybe the signal. Are you driving through the desert? Hang on here. Are you driving through the desert? He may be driving through the desert. I don't know. He's going to Vegas for the big fight between Canelo and Triple G himself, Cnty. I'm going to try it one more time with him. Let's see if I can pop him on. Come on, Vince. Come on, Vinny. Where are you, Vinny? I'm going to keep it there. I can see that you're freezing up. I'm going to hold you in the green room. And if you want to join in the show also, there's a link on the post. We're live on YouTube, we're live on LinkedIn, and we're live on Facebook right now. If you want to jump in itself and you want to grab that link, you can chime in like Vince is doing right now, and love to hear your comments no matter where you are. no matter where you are. All right, I think Vince is now looking like he's loosened up on the screen a little bit. I don't know, but he's a little choppy. There you are. Are you with me, Vin? You're right there. I know we're having some signal issues with you. I'm gonna see if you can pop in. Hang on, Vin. Hang on, Vin. I'm gonna keep you right there for a second because are you driving through the desert? Are you driving through the desert? Because I know you're on your way to Vegas, but the signal is a little weak. But stay right there. Stay right there and see if we can find you here. I want you to see this real quick. The Cleveland Browns. Okay, now, folks, when I first saw this, Cleveland Browns, this is their new logo. This is the Browns logo. Okay, it's an elf. Now you're wondering, what the heck is an elf? What the heck is an elf doing on a team logo like the Cleveland Browns? Let me break it down for you. For one, it was comical when I first saw it, but now it kind of makes sense a little bit. It makes sense because the Cleveland Browns used to have this logo in the 60s, from 1959 to 1969, when they had a good team. And maybe they're trying to bring back some old magic, old Cleveland Brown magic, maybe with an attitude. This is an evil, mean-looking elf. The elf from the 60s was more smiley, a little happier, softer looking. But this is their logo at midfield. Your comments on this would be great about I forget the guy's name, but I'll just call him Elf, Brownie Elf. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more comments when people really see this, on Sunday when the Browns play. And when they get on national TV, it's going to blow up big time itself. All right, I want to try to get myself. I got Vince there. I see Vin. I think it looks up. It's popping off the screen. But I'm going to, let's see here. All right, there we go. All right. Got my comments coming in. Here we go. Joe. It's strange, but might look okay on my shelf. Porsche's in the house, right? I'm leaving this on the screen, folks, because that's the Cleveland Browns logo. That's the Cleveland Browns logo right there. All right. More comments coming in. 1944, he said. Maybe it is 1944. I thought I saw 1959, but either way, the Chargers do look pretty good. Joel says Herbert throws the ball too hard sometimes for his receivers. I noticed that too. That's a good call. Porsche, your comments will be strong. If you want to pop on the screen too, go ahead and do it. Dino in the house. He's going to drink his beer and watch the show. All right. Porsche says he looks like a serial killer logo. This one more shot at it. This is the Browns' new logo. It's an old logo, like 60, 70 years ago, whatever it is. We go even further than that, I should say. But this is for real. But it kind of looks like something on a cereal box. Kind of creepy. I don't think I want to give my kids that cereal box. All right, let's bring in Vince. Vince is in a good spot. It looks like he's comfortable. We want to talk about Triple G. We want to talk boxing. I love talking it, and boxing needs a good fight, and this was a good fight against Canelo in Las Vegas. Come on, my buddy. Are you with me?
Can you hear me?
I got you now. Stay right there. Don't move the phone.
I'm not. Listen, I had to stop here. I'm in Kingman, Arizona. I had to pull over because it's Hanna Time, baby. And when it's Hanna Time, it don't matter where you are in the world. You must pull over and contact my man, CBH, Cornelius Brad Hanna. How's it going, my good friend?
Oh, man, I'm having a good time. I'm excited for the fight, too, man. I know you're pumped up for it. And you mentioned something early in the day, and I got to see Cnty fight. I got it to be in his locker room and just get up close and personal and things like that. And his demeanor as a fighter going up against Canelo, obviously on Saturday night. And we'll talk about Canelo too, folks. Very, he looks intense. He's got a quiet confidence about him. He does talk, but, when he's in the ring, I kept seeing that same demeanor in the ring. Very tactical, great puncher. I know he's older now. I'm going to throw up on the screen, you know, the tail of the tape basically. But I don't, you know, this is the kind of guy I think he can fight a good fight against a Canelo who's also starting to age and has had more fights in the ring, you know. But let's start with Gennady, your guy. I know you love him because he's a great guy too. And tell me why you love him so much and why this guy's got a great shot to win at the age of 40 years old, folks.
Well, you know, I've known Gennady since I had Najee Mohammadi back then when we fought Kovalev in 2015. We would use Abel Sanchez's The Summit up in Big Bear, California, where Gennady was living when he was training with Abel. So Gennady and I developed a good relationship. You know, Brad, out of the, let's say, 100 conversations I've had with the man, not one has been about boxing. Wow. Not one. It's been about world history. It's been about the greatest wars ever. We talked about Eugene Rommel, who was one of the greatest field generals ever in the German army, who hated the Nazis, even though he was the fox of the desert. We talked about tactical things. The man thinks like General George S. Patton when he's in the ring. That's why I'm saying he is that incredible, Brad. Just an incredible guy.
There you go. I got a closer shot of you. I wanted to see you. As we're talking boxing right now with Vince Caruso, who's been in the boxing world for many decades and has been around some of the greatest fights and some greatest fighters. He knows the game well, and he's going to see a great fight, we hope. And we saw a great fight with Canelo. I thought he lost the first fight. They got the tie. And I'm still questioning about the second one. I'm not quite sure how this all plays out, but you know, when you're there, hey, try to help us out. You know, people feel like a lot of things are fixed as in, and you know, not to take a dark approach to this, but you know, a lot of people are hoping this is just a flat out fair fight and that we'll get a good decision or maybe a knockout. But have you ever experienced anything where a fight went to, like I was at the Bradley. What's his name fight? Pacquiao fight. I had no idea. I didn't know why Pacquiao lost that fight, you know. But anyhow, that was a shocker. But is the fix? How do you paint that in your world, being around the sport so much?
Well, I unfortunately, I should say, was involved, you know, with Marco Barrera for many years, not only professionally but personally as family. And I watched him beat Eric Morales pillar to post, and they gave it to Morales. Whenever you have that happen, it is a bitter pill to swallow. I think that Gennady Golovkin did enough to win the first fight. I think the second fight, I did give it to Canelo by 1 round. So I think this is the proverbial rubber match. You mentioned Gennady being 40 years old. Yeah, he's 40 years old, but he's a Gennady Golovkin 40. And I would rather have a Gennady Golovkin 40 than have some of these new guys at 25 or 26 years old, because they're not fighters. Gennady Golovkin has been a fighter since he's been born. Don't get me wrong. Canelo Alvarez is an amazing fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him. But Canelo Alvarez is coming off of a loss, number one, an embarrassing loss at that, where he was even in denial. He was beat again 10 rounds out of 12, and he still in the press conference had excuses and said he thought he won. Brad, no one. Ray Charles could have been ringside. He would have said he lost. It's the fact when you have a fighter like that that shows the insecurity that he has. Gennady Golovkin knows he was robbed in both of those fights. You rarely ever hear him just say, this time I'm going to handle business. He doesn't take things personal. I think Alvarez does. Alvarez, of course, is of Mexican descent. They live off machismo. That's what makes them the greatest fighters in the world, in my opinion. They live off of machismo. However, machismo can get you dead in the street or the ring. And when you're in there with a man who thinks like a tactical militant general, you better be able to think the same way, or you're not going to be able to hang with him. As long as, you know, it's funny. Bernard Hopkins, man talks like he knows everything in the world. He invented boxing, Bernard Hopkins. If you ever talk to him, this man has not picked a middleweight fight to save his life. Do you know why? Because he was a middleweight. He's picking Gennady Golovkin to get knocked out, Brad. Can you sit here? I will give $1,000 to any of your callers that can tell me the time Gennady Golovkin tasted the canvas in his career. It's never happened.
Never.
So why would all of these professionals, Tim Bradley, Bernard Hopkins, everyone, all of a sudden think this man is going to get knocked out? Bernard Hopkins fought until he was 48 years old, and he demanded his respect.
Yes, he did.
Gennady Golovkin is 8 years younger. Is Bernard Hopkins giving him respect by picking Canelo Alvarez, considering Gennady Golovkin has never been off of his feet, let alone stopped in a fight?
I agree with you. And the one thing about Bernard is, he threw the, at least in person, when I've been to so many fights, the greatest punch I've ever witnessed, with that body punch to Oscar De La Hoya that just dropped him to the canvas. I mean, I've never seen a guy get dropped by a body punch like that in boxing before. I know it should be used more, body punches, but that was it. And that when Oscar was a little bit more towards the end of his career. But I remember talking to Oscar, was like 2 summers ago at a photo shoot, and he said, I just lost all my wind, and I really didn't want to fight anymore. Like it was just, I was out. And fighters are humbled, and they know when it's right and time to leave. And he tried to make a comeback, Oscar, but Bernard put that in his head, and that's when a fighter goes, I can't do it. So Bernard, right, he got a lot of respect. I don't know why he needed to go to 48. I think I loved him throughout his whole career, but not respecting Triple G, I don't know, it's because he's not an American or something. I don't know.
I'll tell you, Brad. Great. I'll tell you what it is. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Gennady Golovkin is the most hated upon. I don't like that word hater, right, but he is the most detracted fighter of all professionals. Do you know why? Does Gennady Golovkin hang out with other fighters? No. Does Gennady Golovkin go on social media and tell you how great he is on a constant basis?
I never see him on the media.
No. Does Gennady Golovkin go out and wear flashy chains and hang out at rock concerts and rap concerts and hang out with rappers and NBA stars? Does Gennady Golovkin do that?
Nah. No.
I did see him have dinner with Michael Jordan in Manhattan, though. So you see what I'm trying to say? Gennady Golovkin carries himself with a level of respect that these young clowns know in their heart they can never achieve.
Never.
Gennady Golovkin gets respect from CEOs, president of Nike, president of Apple. That is who Gennady Golovkin has dinners with. Not some floozy waiting outside, or not some wannabe rapper, or not some NBA basketball star with nothing to do on his time. No, he gets respect. And that's why he's one of the most detracted fighters and hated upon fighters, because he needs no one. He works off of his talent and says very little.
Yeah, the big, we're all going to watch it, is, we watched some great fighters go into their 40s. I saw Chavez fight. Who was he fighting that night when he was it Oscar?
Costa Zoo, right out here in Arizona, right down by you. Yeah. Costa Zoo ended his career right there in Arizona.
Yeah, I was at that fight. You're absolutely right. I remember that, and
it was sad. It was sad to watch Chavez go out like that. Yeah. Very sad to watch Julio go out like that.
I remember that fight. And anyway, we're going to watch to see. He's going to fight. He knows he's got great instincts, Gennady. Canelo, if I was Canelo, I would try to wear him down. A lot of body, be careful. Gennady's good on the inside. He's very tactical. But Canelo, if he wants to get this to the later rounds, if it goes to the later rounds, I think that's where people are banking on him able to take out Gennady. That's why maybe people are saying knockout, after 8 or 9 rounds. And at 40 years old, athletes today are better than ever before at 40. You would think 40 you're done, but it's a different athlete. So, it used to be like 30, 35, and now it's like 40, 45. You still, they're proving it. Athletes are proving. Roger Federer just retired today. The guy has been around for like forever.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady is winning Super Bowls well into his 40s.
Right. So I'm not going to doubt his age. I just want to see if he's ready, conditioned. I believe he knows
he's ready.
And I know Canelo doesn't want to be embarrassed. This would be very embarrassing to his career if he's taken out by a 40-year-old guy. And then we question everything else prior to that. So this is a big fight and a lot of statute,
Brad, something you just said. You got to remember this. Canelo, he just lost to Dmitry Bivol, okay? Dmitry Bivol is fighting Canelo's fellow countryman, Zurdo Ramirez
Wow.
coming up. Zurdo Ramirez has power in both hands and is a natural 175. Zurdo Ramirez has a great chance of knocking out Bivol. You don't think that's in the back of Canelo's mind tomorrow? Because if Zurdo beats the man who beat the man, Canelo is no longer the man.
No, he's no. This is everything because Canelo. I mean, I know it's a big payday, but his legacy gets a little bit. It takes a little bit of a hit now. It takes a nice hit if he loses this fight. So there's a lot of incentives there for him. I don't think his career is over if he loses, but you know, if he takes out Gennady, that means he takes care of that business. I don't think Gennady has anything to lose now. This is another angle that I'm taking. You know, he's an underdog in a lot of ways. He's lost a fight. He thought he won a fight. You know, he's not supposed to win this fight. He's 40. You know, we're going to give you the tail of the tape right here on this fight as I pop it on the screen. Okay, I don't know if you can see it on your end there, but you know, 40 years old is Golovkin. 32-year-old Alvarez, Canelo Alvarez. 61 fights for Canelo. 44 for Golovkin. For wins, Canelo has 57. Golovkin has 42 wins. The one loss, there's that one loss and that one tie. You know, Canelo has 2 ties and 2 losses, and most recently, like you mentioned, when it comes to knockouts, Canelo, 39 knockouts. Golovkin 37 out of his 44 opponents. That's pretty good. When it comes to height, they're basically Golovkin still got the height by a couple of inches, but weight-wise, they're both the same weight, 168 coming in, and they both have that orthodox stance itself. You know, I want to see what happens tomorrow at the weigh-in. Tomorrow's the weigh-in, right?
Yeah, weigh-in's tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be a ruckus crowd itself. But does this tail of the tape do anything for you, or does it matter? Because everybody likes to look at the tail of the tape.
You know, it does nothing for me. Look, I was with Marco Barrera when we fought Nassim Hamed. All right, in the MGM.
I like Nassim. I like him.
April 7th of 2001. 33 out of 34 boxing writers said Marco Barrera had no chance. 28 of the 33 said he would be stopped. Well, guess what? 35 out of 37 boxing writers said Gennady Golovkin has no chance, and 29 of them said he would get stopped. Listen, the writing's on the wall. This is what makes boxing the sport of kings, because it is not so much like basketball, where you got a guy who could jump higher than someone else, or baseball, where you got a pitcher who could throw faster than someone else. This is a sport that comes from the will to win. It comes from the will to better your life, your unfortunate circumstances. It comes from so much. Gennady Golovkin has millions. He has a great sponsorship with Nike. He has a great sponsorship with Apple phones. He has millions. He doesn't have to fight. He could have retired 5 years ago, Brad, and lived comfortably if he lived 5 times over. If you think he's taken this fight for money, you're sadly mistaken. You don't know the sport of boxing, and you certainly don't know the man. The man is fighting for his legacy. He knows it's never been done. I say this. Yes, Canelo Alvarez is the younger fighter. You are absolutely correct. And to all accounts, in all of those fights you just listed, Canelo Alvarez gave Gennady Golovkin the best fight of his life for 2 of those 40-something fights. You would agree to that. However, there's something that no one is really understanding here. Canelo was younger, Canelo was faster, and Canelo was stronger. And for 24 rounds, he couldn't take Gennady Golovkin, who was older at the time and slower, off of his feet. What in the world makes you think he's going to do it now? Gennady Golovkin stopped the last person that he fought. Canelo Alvarez lost to the last person that he fought. These are factors that no one's seeing.
I wonder which camp is. I've been in both camps. I've seen them up close. I've been to those workouts, those private workouts that you get to see months leading up or weeks leading up. When you're able to get in there as a media guy, or you get an invite. And it's like closed doors, but somehow you're in there. And I've seen a lot of this, and they are 2 different ones. There's no doubt. They're very intense. Very serious, very intense, I would say, for both. The one thing that stood out with Triple G's camp or team is you get to see that Eastern Europe, Russian stern. I mean, I felt the energy. Like, you know, it was like all business, hard nosed mentality, and I mean, it made me want to stay further away and watch from a further distance. You know, not that I was intimidated, but it was a different. You know, when you see fighters from a different country coming in, and there's a different approach to it. And I saw that, and I don't know if you ever recognize that with different locker rooms that you've been in, or with fighters itself. But how much does a team around a fighter? You know, is Canelo's teams? I mean, this has been a few years since I've seen both these guys that close. Success has a way of breaking down and people leaving. You know, where is this mixed into this fight at this stage of their careers?
That is a great question, Brad. You know, I always say that boxing is a team sport. It is. Because if you have a good head coach in football, a good head coach can win you a Super Bowl. If you have a great skipper in baseball, a great skipper can win you a World Series title. Right. And a bad skipper can take a great team and make them shit. I mean, it's a fact. So to be honest with you, at boxing, from experience, I could tell you this. If Marco Barrera didn't beat up Nassim Hamed on April 7th, we would have. The rest of his team would have. I don't even run. And I was running every day in Big Bear. I was ready to kill somebody when I was there because I'm ready to go to war.
You were running with them? You were training with them? Like you were out there?
Dude, I smoke weed. I don't even run. Come on, man. I'm out there running with these guys. And I got to be honest, it was the mentality. It was a brotherhood. I mean, we were ready to kill. I love Nassim. Don't get me wrong as a person, but that night we were ready to kill him. Everybody was. I mean, he had what we wanted. And we were not taking no. And I think Gennady Golovkin, I do, as much as I respect and love Abel Sanchez, I think Abel Sanchez was and Gennady Golovkin, the relationship ran its course. I think that it's not like it's not like when Vince Neil left Motley Crue and they weren't good anymore. I think this was good for Gennady to go ahead and leave Abel, get with Jonathan Banks, who is an old school thinker. Remember, Jonathan Banks was handpicked by a great man, Emmanuel Stewart, the late Emmanuel Stewart, great man. He was handpicked to take over as the head trainer, chief second for Vladimir Klitschko, who at the time, Vladimir Klitschko was unbeatable. Jonathan Banks is an old school guy, and he's very good for Gennady. Abel Sanchez was treating Gennady more like a pupil. You can't treat Gennady like a pupil. He's extremely intelligent. Gennady Golovkin is 12 years younger than me. I would never go into a conversation thinking I know more than that guy. Go back.
Now, let's talk, some stories, some boxing stories. I got a couple of them, and this is kind of like match for match, okay? And it just gives people insights about some of the fighters. Like you talked about Gennady's personality and character-wise, and other fighters that you may want to share, throughout the career you had in the boxing industry itself. There's two that stand out deeply. One is the night Pacquiao was going to fight. The night before Pacquiao was going to fight Mayweather, and I'm literally in Pacquiao's suite at the Mandalay Bay, like a 3-bedroom suite, one of those deals. And there was a massive people from his country and friends, and in the hallway, and I'm inside, and there's all this great food that from his culture there, and I'm like, where's Manny? And like, Manny is literally at a kitchen table, making sure everybody has their tickets, making sure everybody had a room and a bed to sleep, or because Manny was taking care of everybody, and it was like 50, I don't know, say 100. It was a lot of people jam packed in that suite, and I'm going, this guy's about to have one of the biggest fights in the sport, and I'm watching him the night before. Maybe that's why he lost. I don't know, but it was just so impressive where his heart and mind is, and it's not about the fight as much as love and family and blah, blah, blah. And from that point on, I fell in love with the guy. I was like, I always liked Manny, but this was it. This was the nail in the coffin. Right. I have more, but you can say one of yours or two.
Well, no, I've been around some great fights, and I've been in the room with great situations, whether it's with Don King or anywhere else I've been around, very interesting situations. I will say this, though, something that you mentioned, And it's a little sad, and that's why I'm not involved. People will say to me, Vince, you were so great in boxing. It's just something you was in your blood. You were just a character. Right. I mean, they dubbed me the Saul Goodman of boxing. I mean, I even drove a little beat-up Toyota like the character of Saul Goodman. But, I mean, to be honest with you, it's to me, like you said, I go back to the night when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Marvin Hagler in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I remember, of course, my uncle, the late Al Caruso, who was a featherweight champion under the late Customato. When I was there and I was around Marvin Hagler and the Petronelli brothers up there in Bar Harbor, Maine, where he was training, I remember Marvin wouldn't talk to anyone. Marvin would wear one hat. It was red, and it had 3 words on it, W-A-R, war. That's all Marvin Hagler thought of. Marvin Hagler wanted to kill you the night before. He wasn't thinking about tickets for his wife. He wasn't thinking about this. He had promoters were doing that. He had Robert Arum was handling that for him. Marvin Hagler was going to murder Ray Leonard in that ring the next night. All he had on his mind was Ray Leonard. He wanted to hurt Ray Leonard. He wanted to hurt Tommy Hearns. And when he fought Tommy Hearns, he hurt him. Those days are gone. These guys today, they want to be rappers. This Ryan Garcia talks more on social media than he throws punches in the ring. If I tell you one thing right now, Brad Hanna, if you ask me who the greatest fighter right now fighting out there is, and I'm not talking about specifically boxing, but the greatest fighter in the world right now, a man that I would walk into any bar fight and I would take on 10 guys with right now, that's out of Stockton, California, Nate Diaz. That young man is a fighter. Nate Diaz, I would go into a bar fight with Nate Diaz and I would come out unscathed with that young man because he is a fighter. All he cares about is beating your ass. He doesn't care about sponsors. He doesn't care about tickets. He doesn't care about this. He wants to fight. And to be honest, if you ask me talent-wise, who the best fighter talent-wise is, Brad, right now, I mean, when I watch this fighter, I'm like flawless, mistake-free. I see no weaknesses in the game. You ready for this one?
Yes.
Valentina Shevchenko from the UFC. That is the greatest fighter on 2 feet right now in boxing and MMA. I stand by my call.
Now
Valentina Shevchenko. She is if you look at her training, you look at her style, you look at her dedication, that girl lives, sleeps, and breathes fighting. In her off time, she's meditating for her next fight. She's not out there.
You were with one of the greatest, or at least the frontier of women in fighting, Miss Pinky Shorts herself. You know, I know she went through a lot. My mind's slipping on it right now, but tell me more about your relationship with really the first female star in boxing.
You know, a lot of people don't realize this about me. 2 of the biggest names in the 90s of female boxing were Mia St. John and Christy Martin. Well, if you take a look at the record, I got half of their opponents for them. Sean Gibbons, my good friend, Sean Gibbons at the time was working with Robert Arum. They knew, hey, look, they used to call me. They didn't know. They hated female boxing.
Right.
They're like, Vince, I get the phone call. Vince, dude, because I'm living in LA. And, you know, at the time, I saw a market. Brad, at the time, I was promoting boxing. And I said, all right, how can I go into a game where I'm 27, I have a GED, I have a community college education. I mean, the only thing I know about chicks is I hang out with them and I party with them. So, I mean, like, what do? I love boxing. So I took my love of boxing. And you got to remember, these girls today, Brad, they're beautiful. They're dedicated full-time to boxing. Back then, the girls could only fight twice a year. They were housewives. They had full-time jobs. They're not like they are today. So I used to get Christy Martin a lot of her opponents, but I got Mia St. John probably, I'd say 3/4 of her career were opponents that I got. And I would get, and Brad, the best part, I got to go see like Lennox Lewis versus Evander and MSG, that great fight, the controversial one. I had a female fight on the card. So I got to go to all these big fights that Don King and Bob Arum were putting on because I was getting the opponents for their female fighters. So I got carte blanche.
Yes,
you know, hotel tickets, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I remember in some rinky-dink, I think it's off of Flamingo behind the Gold Coast. Maybe it was the Gold Coast. There was like a bar, little casino thing, and I was inside with Christy Martin, Jay Bright, he was with Team Tyson at the time, and somebody else. And we're just literally watching. I'm there with Christy Martin, and you wouldn't even know she's even in there.
Was it? I think it was either the Orleans. It was either the Orleans or Arizona Charlies.
Arizona Charlies.
That's what it was. I was there. Jay Bright, your good friend, Jay Bright. I know you and Jay Bright know each other very well, but you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. I was actually there. I was there for that fight.
Yeah. Jay told me one time, I go, Jay, how do you've been around Mike and you've been around Cuss D'Amato and you kind of lived in the same house. And so what is that you learned as to determine a fighter that you want to work with, and at least what you know. And he said, I don't want to lose his confidence in these like sparring stuff. So I don't want him up against some dude that's just gonna crush him. And then I lose my fighter. So I got to build him up, but I need to know if he's going to fight. And I need to see when he gets tagged, how he responds when he gets tagged. So ever since he said that to me, it's true. Just like in sports in general, like when you get, a bad inning or, you're down by 10 or 17, like the Chargers are, beating up on the Chiefs right now. Like, how do you respond to the situation? And this is what we're looking for the Arizona Cardinals this weekend. How do you respond against the Raiders? And that's what I look for when it comes to fighters when they fight, is responding. So it's a great one. And it kind of puts life in perspective too. How do you respond?
Brad, we were talking about the football stuff. You're right. You remember the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, which is a great movie, by the way. Awesome movie. Yeah. You remember how Kevin Costner's character said, show me the tape. What does he do after that play? Yeah. I want to see how he reacts after that. That's how I am in fighting. Whenever a fighter would send me, hey, I'm 33-1 with 25 knockouts, they send a highlight film. You know what I do? I throw it in the trash. And I go over to YouTube and I look and I see the fight they lost. And I look up the fight they lost. And I want to see what they did when they lost.
Yeah,
did they quit? Did they quit? Because you remember a guy, Joey Gamach.
Yes.
Back in the day, Joey Gamach, great fighter. Out of, where was he? Rhode Island, I think. Italian kid, good looking, small guy. He built up a record like 33-0, won a world title against like Boston, like guys who come right out of the bar and stuff. Then he went and he fought a guy named Orzubek Nazarov. And Nazarov was from the same country that Valentina Shevchenko. He was a killer. I mean, he put it this way. Later on, it was revealed that he was a hitman for the mob, and the dude was 135 pounds, and he was beating up 220-pound guys. So he beat Joey Gamach. So if you YouTube that fight, he blew him out. It was in Lewiston, Maine, I believe. He blew him out, Brad. Brad, he blew him out. So you had this guy. Everybody was so hyped. They had a good-looking kid, American, 40-0. I mean, 40 bums. 40 bums doesn't make you a good fighter.
No,
I want to see how you did against the guy who was so-so. I want to see how you did against the good guy. Because I would invest in a fighter if he had 5 losses, but one of those losses, he went the distance with a guy who knocked everybody else out. Because that tells me the guy's got a good chin and he's got the will to win. That's all you need to win a fight, man.
All right. So we're gonna let you go here in about a minute.
Yeah, I'm picking up all your time. Sorry.
No. We did great. We did 30 minutes. We did 30 minutes of boxing talk. I got another guy coming in about 15 minutes, Mark Mancini. So
I like that guy. Mark Mancini, good guy. By the way, get more of him on. He's a good guy. Knows his shit.
Yeah, he knows it. And he's fun. Anyway, I'm rooting for Gennady. I just want him to go out and get a taste of that victory. And, who knows? Maybe we'll have a 4th fight if Gennady wins. And then I'll definitely have to go to that fight.
When's the next show for you?
It'll be Sunday after the Cardinal game.
What do you say? If I can, I'll call in on Sunday and I'll give you a little report. We'll save aside like 10, 15 minutes. Maybe totally. I might even grab an interview for you if I get somebody that I'm with. And I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm going as a fan for the first time. 23 years I'm going as a fan. But I'll keep you posted,
to the Raider
Brad.
Game. Go watch the Cardinals and Raiders if you can sneak in there or somehow
get
in there.
I'm a lifelong Raider fan, but I got to be honest with you. I'm so excited about this Cardinal team. I like the Cards, man. I'm behind the Cardinals this year. If they do it, Hollywood Brown. Listen, Hollywood Brown, that's my guy. If you listen to what Hollywood Brown said in that tweet, like you and I agree, Brad, and I'll leave you with that, the Cardinals will be a better team. Hollywood Brown's the leader. those guys on offense need to start listening to him.
Well, he definitely spoke up, and actually, I'm going to pop it on the screen as I let you go, Vince. What Hollywood Marquise Brown said that may have jolted this team a little bit in that locker room. Locker rooms can be you can win and lose from the locker room before you get on the field, but this may be the one that they needed to wake up and get slapped around a little bit. You're right about that. Hey, Vince, have a great time at the fight. Try to take some photos because sometimes it's not easy, but and anything else that you can share from that night with Cnty and Canelo and blah, blah, blah. And the parties. If you get to an after party, I need to know those. I like those after parties after fights.
I'm in my room at 11 o'clock, man. I'm sober. I'm sleeping. I'll be in press row though with my little sign Hanna Time on my hat. Hanna Time. Hey, thank you so much for having me. Love you, Brad, right, and we'll be speaking soon, my brother. Take care, man. All the best to you. Bye-bye.
All right, Vince Caruso there, former boxing promoter, but still around the fight and getting to go to the Cnty Canelo fight on Saturday night, and we're going to hear from that on Sunday after the Cardinal game too. So I appreciate your time, folks, but let's jump into the Cardinal stuff a little bit, because since we transitioned to that, this is something that the Cardinals this week, why is it that they were not prepared, the Arizona Cardinals? Okay, why is it that they came in there looking like a team? Because if you're watching this game right now, and the Chargers are beating the Chiefs 17-7, you're going to say, "Oh, the Chiefs, well, the Chargers are that much better." The Chiefs are a good team. They're both good teams. But how bad is the Cardinals then? Right? Can you measure it in one game? You can definitely measure it to how far off they are. Now, we got to see how they respond. And that's the big take that we had about the Cardinals, and like a lot of things in sports and life, is when you get knocked down, how do you respond? You need to see that. Even if the Cardinals lose on Sunday against the Raiders, you need to see a fight in them. A team that is wounded, embarrassed, needs to find a way to look good. Bottom line. Now, here's something that I'm going to find it for you too. Is the Marquise Brown comment stuff. I had something about the Cleveland Browns that I was going to throw at you, but I'm not going to do that for you. Where is that Marquise Brown? If not, I know it by heart. I don't even have to show it to you. When Marquise Brown speaks up about the Cardinals needing to practice more, when Luis Sharp was with me on Sunday, he was all over it. He goes, this team was not prepared. It hasn't been prepared. You can see it. When you don't practice during the summer, you don't have preseason games. Marquise Brown came from the Ravens organization, had a different culture there, and then comes to the Cardinals. It's a lot different. I think he got a wake-up call. He spoke up, and he will speak up. This is something that you can see it not disrupting the locker room, but somebody's got to take ownership of it. And Marquise Brown spoke up. Now, this can ruffle some feathers in the locker room. It can spike some people up a little bit, negative or positive. But if anything, it did help, I hope, to get the Cardinals locker room fired up more. Meaning and now our guys are talking about it. We don't want anybody talking about this anymore. We got to show up on Sunday against the Raiders itself. And what's even more embarrassing about not being prepared or not being ready to play on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are struggling to score points. I mean, they only got 7 points. You would think that they would have more offense tonight, right? Is this your field? How the heck is your field not even ready for game one, week one? You had all summer long. You had everything to plan this out. And the Chiefs complained about it. How can you not have your own field ready? It seemed like nothing was ready. It's embarrassing. When a Super Bowl quarterback or a Super Bowl coach, Andy Reid, says the Kansas City Chiefs just scored their touchdown. So now it's it should be 17-14 here coming up in a little bit. But anyway, this has been an embarrassing week for the Cardinals organization overall. They need to show up on Sunday against the Raiders. The Raiders lost a game too, by the way, right? Both these teams need a win. If you lose this game and go 0-2, your percentages of winning or going into the playoffs is like 7%. Right? It's low, or even lower than that. If you go 1-1, it's like 42%. If you can get to 1-1, that's why it's a big game. These things do happen, right? And it's been historically known now, right? So this is playoff stuff. Your percentages go way up when you're 1-1, way down when you're 0-2. Who wants it more? Are the Cardinals going to be ready more on Sunday against the Raiders? Is 1 week of practice? Was it a hard practice? Did they hit more? Where's that motivation coming from? The loss? Is their head coach fired up? Is he pushing them harder? Something culturally has to change immediately. When you're watching the owner's booth of the Cardinals, sitting there with his GM, stone face, watching what they put together for their first game of the year, right? Oh, you can complain about your injuries, but you know what? Teams have had injuries, and teams still show up. Debacle. You got destroyed. Cardinals got destroyed. That cannot happen. If anything comes close to what happened on Sunday, you're thinking about Coach Wilks. I've heard this comment already. It reminded them of the Coach Wilks era. And if this is descending from a year ago, this is a bigger issue. Can they? No. You can say, hey, the Cardinals have always started off fast. Now we're starting off slow. Maybe we can find some magic as the season goes along and we finish strong. Wishful thinking. You don't want to go there. You want to just get those wins and get there and get to December and find out if you're for real or not, right? All right, so there it is right there. I don't know why I kept it on the screen too long for you, but the Cardinals field not being prepared, loose dirt, embarrassing. You weren't even ready even for your field. All right, comments coming in. I want to read them to you. Porsche, they think you guys are all a little behind over there. The Chiefs are going to win tonight. Queensberry come in. Everyone else didn't see how in the first two quarters, 90% of the plays and targets were just to like two guys, right? Yeah, you did. I just said it. And I'm reading it. Dortch and Connor. That's right. It was a lot of Connor. Saw a lot of Dortch. Did I even say that right? Good point there, Porsche. Sammy. Good point, Sammy. Yeah, it's a good point. I was talking about that with Luis, that they weren't spreading the ball around. And if you're watching the Chiefs, everybody was involved, and it was just, that's how you get everybody involved. That's how you get everything moving, right? You really couldn't get anything moving because nobody was involved, engaged. Or was that the game plan? If it was, that was a horrible game plan. Or was it just Kyler comfortable, just certain things that he just was comfortable with? Everything just didn't look good, and it just wasn't good. More comments coming in. Lucy says hello. Hey, Lucy. All right. I think a lot of people are making their way out to Vegas. Mancini coming in here in about 4 minutes, he said. All right. That's good. Want to talk more football with him. Elizabeth Fielder in the house. Mo Contreras in the house. Dave Hoffman says, I coached Marvis Frazier basketball, White Marsh Township, Pennsylvania. Joe would come into the games. Oh, wow. That's a great story, Dave. Dave, that's a great story. Wow, I hope you're still here watching it. You just missed the best touch. Yeah, I saw that one. And then I saw the Chiefs' big comeback touchdown there. So a nice game going on. Ricky Gentile in the house. Dino says you should look and see how much the tickets are for the fight. That's a big fight. It's a great night in Vegas, guys. It's going to be rocking on Saturday night. Fight night. And Louis, hey, Louis, up in the house. Joel, I got you, Joel. And more people popping in. I appreciate it. Cardinals defense, Hashim, was crap. The blitzing 54%. Yeah, the blitzing 54%. That's the number they have. Yeah, 54% of the time. Think about that. Why the heck are you blitzing Mahomes? Why? Like logically, rationally, you don't do it. We talked about that on Sunday also after the game. Why are you blitzing the guy? You blitz him at certain times, sure. 54% of the time, man, you just gave him the game. He's waiting for it. He's used to the blitz. You drop guys in coverage, but then again, you didn't have a pass rush, so we got to keep pressure. No, you should have kept them back. Clog up the middle of the field where you got burned, right? Yeah, there's a lot of things that went wrong there. Yeah, there's a lot of blame, and we got to see how they handle it. But Derek Carr didn't have a great game. I think he had 3 interceptions for the Raiders, but they still hung around and they still made a comeback and almost got the Chargers in the end. So we got to see where the Raiders are at. Did the Raiders elevate their game late in the game, or did in the second half against the Chargers, and maybe they're finally in the groove? Is that good news for the Cardinals? Because I didn't see any groove for them. Can't wait to game week 4 for this all to happen here. Mancini's popping in right now as we're just finishing up some Cardinal talk. Dave Hoffman says, I just looked at the fight tickets. Going to be there, but not paying $800 for a fight ticket. Yeah, you don't do it. I think is that the cheapest ticket? The cheapest ticket used to be like $100 in the last row. So I'm thinking maybe the cheapest ticket's like $300, and it's okay from where you are, way up top, but you don't really feel the fight when you're close, and you're better off watching it on TV with great sound and a big screen. It's a lot better that way than paying $300. The only thing you get out of it is the environment of the atmosphere in the stadium itself. But that's up to you guys. But $300, I think maybe you can get one if it's not already sold out. If you're scalping, yeah, good luck with that. But Dave, you're right, man. A lot of money, man. A lot of Jeff Brown in the house. Hey, Jeff, appreciate it. $600 is the cheapest ticket. Yeah, I'll get my media pass and go. I wish I was able to go this weekend. All right, so Mancini, I got to pop him in. Hanna Mancini right now coming on live with you guys. How you doing, my man?
Well, I'll tell you, I had a parlay going till Carolina lost, and then Denver laid an egg in Seattle. But I had the Rams getting blown out. And it's, a weekend where it was remarkable. The Skins and the Steelers won on the same weekend, so I was pretty happy.
It's good for you, man. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a fun. I watched it all right here live at JJ's Grub Shack here in East Mesa, Arizona itself. But, I would say this. I'll be back here on Sunday watching all the games again here. And then we'll be here every Thursday, you and I, right, from this place too. So
yeah, I love this show, man. You know that. This is the show that sweeps the country. They got to just tune everything off and just listen to us across the country. And
I appreciate that. I would like that.
We heard your promo today in Philly, man. It was a good one, man.
Well, I do enjoy those, but I'll have to get back on your Philly show. Yeah, the Eagles looked pretty good. They had a battle, but they, I think they're going to be okay. The Eagles,
we had a former Detroit Lion on there. Keith Thorney was in there.
Okay. But, the Eagles defense is what really looked like a team that may be able to grow with their young talent they have, that defensive line. So I think a lot of Philly fans should be happy about that, what happened on Saturday. At least you're projecting. Hey, watching this game tonight, right? We're watching it. I keep my eyes looking up and so forth. I'm going to read it to you. I got to read it to you, okay? And if you don't understand, like, ops and betting ops and things like that, when it comes to, like, the NFL and betting, okay, I'm just going to read the abbreviations for it, right? But the bottom line is when these two teams meet, the Chiefs and the Chargers, the road team, if you're making a bet, you go with the road team. And it's happening again. Now, it doesn't mean the Chiefs don't win the game, but the road team somehow finds a way to cover or doesn't lose, the bet for you. Okay. So the last 4 meetings over the last 2 years, the Chargers are 5-1-1 with the ATS playing at Kansas City. No home field advantage in this matchup. The Chargers are 6-3 the last 2 seasons, including wins at Kansas City itself. KC is only 7-9 ATAs at home the last 2 seasons. And we shall see if this trend continues tonight, and it's happening again. But the system is on the underdog. When they say the system, when you're betting, you follow the trends, and it's locked in. So that if I was able to give this to you earlier, you guys would be making money right now because the Chargers are winning, and it's a ball game. And I don't think this is going to get too far. This is going down to the wire by all means, right? So anyway, I think you said you wanted the Chiefs, but if you're a Cardinal fan, right, like, and you're watching the Chiefs, where they were a week ago. You thought they were winning the Super Bowl. Chiefs fans were like, we're going into the Super Bowl. Now they're like, oh, wait a minute. We just played the
Yeah.
Cardinals. Maybe the Cardinals were not that good.
Well, the Chargers are looking good, man. They took the Raiders out. They're going to the Chiefs. And this was the hard part of their schedule in the first 6 games. Now they're going to get some cakewalks here. You know, so they can, they can be 5-1 here, 6-0 by the time they get into their first 6 games. The hardest part was these first 2.
Yeah, you're right, Mark. You know, I got some things I threw out there earlier in the show as we went through a bunch of NFL stuff. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody's comment. Fly, Eagles, fly. Dave Hoffman. He's from Philly itself. So, but let's see. Dino, I love Mancini. Seriously, I love you, Mancini. Yes, I'm drunk, but I still love you, Mancini.
Well, he's going to listen to you and I, and then he's going to listen to that Philly show on Thursday, Liberty Bell Smack, where we smack everything.
Former Chargers during the Flutie Breeze years. Go Bolts. Let's see here. Joel says, Chiefs are coming back, man. Chargers better buck up.
Joel's smoking something, man. I told these guys, man, I might be the world's worst handicapper. That XM coined me, but I'll tell you one thing: the Chiefs you're not going to see in the Super Bowl for 5 more years, and that was 2 years ago. So you got another 3 years. The Chiefs aren't coming back in no Super Bowl.
All right, so
too many weapons. Tyreek Hill's not there.
All right, so what do we say to Dino, who's watching? He's in Vegas to see his Cardinals play, and he says the Cardinals will make the playoffs. They will advance deep into the playoffs. You heard it first. Now, he did say he was drinking in Vegas, so.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's going to be a game where I don't think the Raiders are going down 0-2. I mean, that's going to be something. I'm surprised you're not going up to that game.
No, I got this commitment here. We got a nice commitment with JJ, and Dino knows about it.
Yeah.
So, but I got to say hi to Lucy, who is a big fan of our show and a big fan of just what we do online like this. And
somebody scored.
No, it was a big sack deep in the by the goal line. The Chargers are like back at their 1 or 2 yard line, so the Chiefs would get a good field position here. But I got to say hi to Lucy. She said she wishes that we were a little closer, or to come on out and sit with us and watch the show live and watch the games. But
well, we can tell Lucy we can play Three's Company. I'll be John Ritter.
Three's Company. Yeah. Dave said Dino is drunk with the Cardinals making the playoffs.
Poor Dino. He's probably walking around the strip, banging into the MGM Grand, talking hockey with some people, and in the desert they're trying to figure out that sport. So unbelievable.
All right,
but
so
hey, I will tell you this next week, you and I will get it on. The Pirates are in New York for a week, man. They're getting their
I know at the Yankees
tonight.
You know what? Let me pop that on since you brought that up. I've been having this for a while. This is Aaron Judge, folks. If you don't know about this guy, these is his numbers in the American League. He's first in everything but batting average, and he's about like 9 points off the lead in the batting average. So he's got a shot at the Triple Crown. And if there's any controversy about or debate about who's the MVP of the American League, stop it right now. The guy is 57 home runs, 4 away from tying Roger Maris, which is still incredible no matter what. And he's not on steroids. But yes, the Pirates and the Yankees will be going out. Mark, we'll have fun with that. But I need to bring Judge up here a little bit.
Wow.
They didn't play today, but this is something that I'm excited for, because in our lifetime, we watched the McGuires, we watched the Bonds, we watched the Sosa, and now we know more about the controversy of PEDs and things like that. And Aaron Judge is what, 6'8", 6'7". He's a tight end playing baseball, and he plays everything very well. And he's about to be paid probably the biggest salary in baseball history, and he's playing and living up to it to get that contract. But why is there debate about him not being an MVP? I don't understand this.
Well, first of all, it's got to be the number one story in baseball. The guy bet on himself.
He bet on himself, right? Exactly, to get that contract.
And not only betting on yourself, now he's had that much confidence. When you bet on yourself, you block out all the naysayers. So, yeah, he's going to take it all the way to the bank. I don't know if he stays in New York they got some problems there. They don't even know what to do with Hicks. Hicks is the new whipping boy there in New York.
He rides the pine, man. He's done.
Yeah,
He's
you
done.
know, I don't. Boy,
Trade him to Pittsburgh. Trade him to Pittsburgh and get another great pitching arm.
Well, and the thing here is, and it really is no battle, because what Judge is doing is amazing. I mean, the battle now that they're bringing is Ohtani into the mix. But what can you do with Ohtani? It's a last place Angel team, pretty much. They're not going nowhere.
No,
and
they're
they
not.
won't go. They won't go nowhere till they actually cut ties with one of them. One might be going to Seattle. Who knows where the other guy's going? Trout. But they got to do something. But the big news out here is that the Dodger fans are excited. They won another division title.
They won like the last 9 out of 10 or something like that.
I don't understand these myopic Dodger fans out here. They're excited for, I think it's 9 out of 10 division titles.
Yeah.
But when you get beat in October and you go home, what is the game plan? We're just going to bring in another superstar and we'll win another regular. They're going to start hanging regular season flags outside on cars. That's the next thing.
I would say there's about,
man.
Of all the teams making the playoffs in baseball, it's playing itself out. The wild card is playing itself out. There's a couple of teams that may have a shot if they can get super hot. But if you look at who's in it right now in the playoff picture in baseball, it's wide open. I don't believe anybody is heavy favorites. You know, you may have a couple of wild card teams that deserve to get there, but long term may not be able to pull that off. But this is wide open, so who's to say anything that the Dodgers, because they have a 20.5 game lead.
Well, they're going to set another record. I think not only did they pass it, I think last year or the year before with franchise record, they're going to try to break the major league record of wins, which will be remarkable. And you'll probably hang a flag for that one. But what the hell happens when you get knocked out in the second round?
I know where.
What is the excuse? The definition of insanity is doing.
I got your excuse. I have
over and over again, and hoping for different results. You know, Andrew.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, Mark. It looked like Kelsey was going to go in the end zone. They got stopped.
Shoot,
Chiefs looked like they may score.
I thought maybe the Phillies were bringing back Mike Schmidt and Greg Lazinski. I'm sorry.
But I do know when you have problems, you want to go to Utah, because if you haven't seen this yet, Utah is a different state, and I guess it's not as conservative as but I want to throw this on the screen, folks. We don't know if they're college girls or not at the University of Utah, the Utes itself, but they went topless for a football game, but they painted themselves. Wow. Yeah, I look closely. They're ones with the on their body paint.
Yeah.
And they complained, some fans, because it wasn't really a good paint job, and you can actually see their nipples and things. But somehow they got into the game and they watched the game, but now they're like hunting for these two, and they don't know if they're at the university or just.
Oh my God! So what you're basically telling me is they got the boob police now looking for these.
The boob police, hey, yes, just leave it alone.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean,
some fans complained because their kids were at the game and they saw boobies. And all right, I understand.
As if the kid didn't get his father's Playboy magazine in the closet that fell out. Come on. What are we kidding here, man?
All right, we see the Chiefs. Man, almost a pick six. Mahomes went through a picky six. Whoa. All right. It's like 30 seconds left, whatever it is, and the Chiefs are trying to score a go-ahead touchdown here. But anyway, let's talk about this guy right here. Since let me see here. I want to throw something at you, football-wise. Trubisky, were you happy with his performance?
I liked them, man. They went into Cincinnati, they beat them, and they can go 2-0 here with New England coming into Pittsburgh. Mac Jones is a little banged up, so hey, the Steelers' defense is amazing, man. Defense wins games. So if they can get that offense to where they want it, as far as the defense goes, I mean, Pittsburgh might surprise some people. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they might surprise people.
Well, if a guy like Trubisky turns his game up and the system is a lot different from a year or two ago or last 2 seasons in Pittsburgh itself. But Trubisky, if he molds himself into the system for what they showed was a very diverse offense, like nothing was ran twice for like the first 4 or 5 possessions. It was like different plays for every play, every possession, and Trubisky managed it, but they only were able to score 1 offensive touchdown. They should have. By all means, Mahomes would have blown out the Bengals that day, right? Or something like that. So Trubisky has yet to get to that next level. But I was impressed with him in overtime because everybody was watching that because it was one of those games that you couldn't keep your eye off of. Is that he led his team down the field twice in overtime. The first was a missed field goal to win, and then he got a second chance, and he's got his team back again in field goal range for the win. That to me was pretty good to see. So he definitely shows that he just can't make mistakes. And that's what we talked about. That's why I wonder why Pickett's not the quarterback, because you might as well go with the young guy. I think they would have been fine.
I think the system plays itself out. He learned a lot in Buffalo, and that's why Pittsburgh took a flyer on him. And, when he went into Chicago, it was a deer in headlights there. The Bears are just mismanaged. And, what's happened is the same thing's happening in San Francisco with Trey Lance. If they just picked up Kyle Pitts to go along with George Kittle, they had a quarterback that took them to the Super Bowl the year before. All they had to do was run that whole thing. And they didn't. And they pick up Trey Lance. And this guy will be on the scrap heap before the end of the year.
Oh, I don't know why the Niners even think about Trey Lance itself. That's embarrassing. Hey, TJ Watt, they say 6 weeks, man, for the Steelers. Since we were talking about them, I wanted to throw it on. I say you keep TJ Watt out for about 2 months. Heal that body up. Don't take a chance on it. I hear a lot of reports that, he can come back, but, your risk, like JJ, his brother, came back too soon a couple of times. But I say you keep this guy out. Your team will be still in the playoff hunt, and get ready for the stretch run of late November, December. And that's it. The bottom line, or December, you got like 4 or 5 games into January, and may come down to that. But because if you lose him through major surgery, he's done for a year to get that thing, and that's the biggest risk.
Well, the advantage to this whole thing is the Steelers don't get out of their time zone the whole year. So
right. They
that's a major advantage in football, that they can, they're not taking long trips, that, they're going to be well rested and everything. So I kind of like that the Steve months are absolutely right. But
hey, I got to throw this at you, Mark. What the heck is this with the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah. I've seen
that's their new logo.
Shirts.
That's the elf logo they had back in the 60s. Or something like that.
Yeah.
15 I don't know. I don't know why they have to. I mean, are they trying to change their the mojo?
Trying to change their image with having nothing on their helmet, I guess. But
but that's on their field.
Yeah.
It's an evil elf.
Yeah. Shoot, you better cover up that on Christmas. Santa won't stop in the city.
That's too funny. That's too funny. All right.
Boy, and the Philly bar must like this one. Boy, Dallas is going to lose Prescott here for a while.
Dallas is in trouble again. They look like a team like the Cardinals in a lot of ways. They just did not look ready. No. And the players are dropping ball.
Well, Micah Parsons looked ready, and that was the only guy that looked ready.
Yeah. With the Dallas Cowboys is a culture problem there again, and it may be just from the top with their ownership getting too much involved. So this is what you learn about in September, is who's ready and who's not, and before you know it, it's too late, because October's here and you're like 1-3, and you're in a hole. And like I mentioned earlier, you got to be at least 1-1. Your percentages of making the playoffs is 42%. If you're 2-0, it's like 64% or 62%. If you're 0-2, it's like 5 or 7%. It's like it's possible, but man, this is a big weekend for a lot of teams that have not won a game or did not win their game. So it separates a lot, and you got to go with the math.
Yeah.
What's the problem? That's the problem.
Well, the problem is, and I've said this before, Arizona is going to be reeling here this year. I don't see what Arizona is going to do because they just got blown out by Kansas City. I think Las Vegas is going to take it out on them. Then they get the Rams. Oh, it gets hard here for the Cardinals, man.
It does. It's going to get very hard.
And, you got to put it together. But the interesting thing is that sports bar, I think it's the second week of October when the Eagles come through there. That sports bar is going to be interesting in Arizona.
Well, I hope you make it out here for that game. I'll be at that game for sure. When the Eagles are in town. We're keeping an eye on this game. It's like,
well, Tampa comes in there too. I think Tampa comes into your back.
It's on
Tom
Christmas
Brady
weekend.
And the Bucks come into Arizona.
It's a Christmas weekend. Yeah, they got a lot of tough games, the Cardinals itself. So if they don't get a couple of wins here in the next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, that's the weekend. Las Vegas is in Pittsburgh, and Washington's in San Francisco. So I know that weekend well.
All right. How about this one?
Yeah.
This comes out today. I got to get this off the screen for you to read it. Hang on. Let me get this off the screen. All right. So Ryan Fitzpatrick says Tua Tagovailoa is limited in physicality. His physical play is limited as an NFL quarterback. Sean Payton predicts that you can't really see it. Oh, I think I can get it off the screen. Hang on here. Let me pop that off the screen too. He predicts that the Dolphins will bench Tua eventually. This is pretty big news. I mean, Tua just beat the Patriots, but you got a former quarterback who played with them saying something about his physicality and being limited. And now Sean Payton, who knows a lot about football, saying that this guy in Miami is going to get benched eventually. If you're in Miami and you just beat the Patriots and look pretty decent of a win, I feel.
It's funny you say that. I was on a show out of Miami Monday, and we were talking about the Miami Dolphins of 7-2 when they went undefeated. They haven't had a quarterback there since Marino, and they haven't had a running attack since Larry Zonka and Mark Clayton and wide receiver Mark Duper and stuff like that. How about their head coach since Don Shula? I mean, when you look at this team, it's spent decades of doing nothing. And, now they get rid of Brian Flores and their defense, where's that pass rusher like Jonathan Taylor or Zach Thomas? Where's that guy? We haven't even seen that guy in Miami. But you're right. Tua kind of, and I put Tua in the same category. I put Kyler Murray. There's small quarterbacks that can't see the defense. And, you throw Hail Marys up and you get lucky every once in a while like he did against Buffalo. In Arizona, Kyler Murray throwing that, that pigeon ball. But, that's what you got. And you're going to roll the dice and you're going to realize that these aren't the quarterbacks that are going to get you to the Super Bowl. And that's where it lies in Miami. And, I'm going to run this thing in threes. I think Fitzpatrick and Payton are absolutely right. You're not going to win with Tua there, and he's going to probably get benched. He's limited.
This Dave Hoppin says Tua is immune to pressure. Super talent, poise, and great arm. Joel Soderberg says Tua is a player. Come on. Joel also says that shows that they don't know what they're talking about. Philly boy here doing real cheesesteaks for the Eagle game when they come out here to play the Cardinals. So if you come out here, I'm going to introduce you to Dave. He does like a menu at his tailgates that represents the city it's visiting.
Wow.
So and he's a Philly guy born there and played football in high school there and things like that. So I'm sure he can make a killer cheesesteak. So we'll get you over to the cheesesteak land. So I'm going to get one.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when you look at, mobility and quarterbacks, I look at quarterbacks that get rid of that ball quick. Brady gets rid of it quick.
Right.
Guys that get rid of that, Josh Allen, really a quick delivery where the defense can't get in there and put pressure on you. Quick deliveries. And these guys hold on to the ball long. Stafford's another guy that holds on to it long.
You got the invite.
The Rams are going to be in for a long year.
Oh, I'm trying to hold off on the Rams because we always hit them. So I'm gonna wait after this weekend with the Rams, but they got they have to win. The numbers are there. If they don't win, they got like a 7% chance of making the playoffs.
Well, they get a Falcon team coming in.
They just hit a home run, the Chiefs.
Wow.
Run after catch.
So now the score is now, wow.
Is that a pick six? Yeah, a pick six. Pick six. It's going to be 24-7 Chiefs. So they had the ball inside the 5-yard line. So this is like a 100-yard return or something.
24-17 now.
Yeah.
How much time?
A lot. It's like 10 minutes. So that's like a 98-yard return for a touchdown. Pick six.
Wow.
The Chiefs. It's a great game. The quarterbacks. You'd had their opportunities, both these quarterbacks, but they haven't really capitalized. And then,
the Chiefs got a murderous schedule too. Look at the Chiefs' schedule. They got Tampa in there. They got Baltimore, I think. They got a tough schedule.
I got some comments here. I wanted to make sure. Oh, my damn cheesesteak. It's Lucy. Lucy says, "Oh, hey, Lucy, dang, what a play. Yes, it was a great play." David Klein in the house. He's talking about the interception. Colin Murray needs to stop playing video games and focus on the real game.
Yeah.
Cardinal fans are all speaking up, but maybe we can get a big thing for this Eagle. Maybe some of your friends in Philly who do the show there can get out here and do a road trip too. And
Marianne and Sal,
live radio from
WWDB AM 860, yeah.
Well, if not, I'm gonna bring all them on my show to talk about the Eagles. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I had to hear it from Sal today. He was telling me about the Eagles going to kill the Vikings and all that, and I said, "Oh, geez, here we go. Here we go." We had we got a guy do a promo, pretty reputable guy, and he said when he's in Philly, he cheers for the Mets.
Oh, the poor Mets. They're hanging on to that lead by like a half a game tonight. I don't know if
they walloped my Pittsburgh Pirates, so don't feel bad.
All right, so if you're a Jet fan, you got to feel bad. But here's some good news. Here's some news coming out of New York. It's a rumor or rumblings, as Mike Francesca, journalist, sportscaster, that the Woody Johnson, the ownership, is considering selling the team. Now, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but this is always big news when it comes to New York and the Jets. Under Woody Johnson, they've had success. They've been to the playoffs and stuff, They've had some bad seasons too. But for whatever reason, the Jets just seem like they can't get out of the way recently. But your take on this, is this a good thing?
I got a good friend that knows the owner real well, and he's connected with the Jets. And, I thought the Jets were going to do something, but boy, did they lay an egg on Sunday against the Ravens. And, here's a team that I thought could be like the Cincinnati Bengals. But, it's unfortunate. And, with Zach Wilson over there entertaining his mom's friends and jacuzzis and stuff, that's not helping matters either.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all.
I can see where these rumblings are coming from. And rumblings are just rumblings till they actually get put to the paper. But, it's demoralizing to see this, because this team has a good coach in Salah there. They've shored up the defense. They've shored up the offensive line. They're pretty tough and young, but these kind of distractions hold you back. And the Zach Wilson one was a big one.
The Chiefs were down 17-7, and they just put together 17 straight points. Obviously, defense was involved. This is a good game. I'm going to try to keep you updated on it, but Justin Herbert just threw that pick six,
Well, I'll tell you the guy that nobody talks about on the Chargers, and, Williams and Herbert and all these Eckler get a lot of play. But the guy that I've always liked, and, you can count on him, is Sony Mitchell.
Yeah, good running back. I don't know why he keeps bouncing around to team,
Yeah.
But, the NFL really comes down to your defense and how much you can establish the running game. because that play action becomes vital after a while.
Yep.
If you're just going to gunsling it all day long, all you got to do is you got to pass rush, and your quarterback who can gunsling is getting down, he's getting sacked. So those are the elements. So as I'm watching this game and seeing it, there is defensive plays going on.
Right.
But this is the first real serious battle for the Chiefs, and and the Chargers just had one against the Raiders. So I think maybe the Chiefs had a wake up call. This wasn't the Cardinals, and we're down 17-7, and here we are at our home field, and let's go. Let's make it happen. So maybe they found their groove and the tempo of a real football game, because that wasn't a real football game in Arizona for the Chiefs. It was too easy. Now they're in tempo. Both these teams have had a great battle. You could look at a few games in the NFL this past week that were real games, tested battle games, a lot of them, that really gets you ready for the next week, because you didn't really get that in the preseason. So the teams like the Cardinals and the Jets, you haven't had a battle yet. You're trying to, discover yourselves and understand, in your next game, and that could be crushing blow if you can't figure it out. And you got 1 week to figure it out, because it's really going to go downhill.
Well, you talk about, the pros, and when you look at college football, I'm really high on Lincoln Riley. And when you look at USC, it's speed and execution. It's going to take some team to knock them off their pedestal. I mean, I think when the dust clears, they're going to be in the top 4. They're going to be in the final. I think USC is that strong.
All right. Okay. I'm sure the fans are showing up at USC, Mark, but because that's what they do. Everybody in LA only shows up when it's a hot story and I want to be seen. But there's a good loyalty with USC Trojan fans. There's a long history. But what the heck's going on with UCLA at the Rose Bowl? Look at this photograph. This is a home game.
First of all, who the hell are they playing?
Come on, man.
Look at their schedule, man. Bowling Green, North Alabama State, South Alabama State. They're going to be 3-0 after this week. But what is this? This looks.
But this is UCLA, man.
This looks like a Miami Marlins game.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. It's look at it. I can count everybody in the stadium. I can literally count them.
The sad thing about it is you can hear the quarterback bark the signals in the cheap seats.
I can hear the cheerleaders.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But that wasn't the only game that had a problem. In Maryland, the Terrapins. Yeah. Look at this stadium. What the heck?
Yeah, there's nobody there.
What the heck? I mean, is this not a COVID thing? It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Weird.
They probably said, hey, husband, to the husband, load up the kids and, we can go to the game. Nobody's there. And we can buy $5 seats and sit anywhere. Unless you get one of those people that enforce it. You ever see those people that enforce it? That is comical. I mean, it really is. It's like, I know you're doing your job, and I don't want to disrespect you doing your job, but really, there's nobody in this joint, and you're going to enforce the seat? What are you sitting there waiting for? The guy that paid the $1,000 to come? He ain't coming tonight.
Well, I'm going to Arizona State and Central Michigan. I don't know, whatever. Saturday night, 8:00 start. The crowd 2 weeks ago with ASU was okay. I got a little worried because it was kind of not looking this bad like it is in Maryland, but I was kind of worried. But they lost ASU, the Sun Devils lost a tough game last week. Great opponent, tough place to play on the road. You got to like Emory Jones, their new quarterback from Florida, the Florida Gators itself. But anyway, my fingers are crossed that the fans will show up Saturday night. The sun will be well down, set. It'll be dark, right? So it'll be about like 85 degrees by kickoff and probably in the 70s by the time the game ends. So, it's either that or you're going to go see, Tim McGraw just about maybe half a mile away on Tempe Lake doing his big concert. It's like, it's a big night in Tempe.
the big surprise of the Sun Devils there was losing Daniels, man. I like Daniels a lot. He took off. I think he went to LSU, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. And he had a pretty good game in his debut, but then again, he's made those typical mistakes that we saw at Arizona State. So, but I wasn't rooting against him. I just wanted.
Right.
I was rooting against LSU because of the Notre Dame coach that switched over to LSU. Like, I was kind of like tacky.
Be careful for what you wish for when your team. You're making $100 million, yet your team's not prepared to play football 3 months prior to that game.
Oh, totally. Dave Hoppins
and
said
how
nothing
about
about
Nebraska. Boy, how the mighty have fallen.
Dude. I just had two elders who just came in from Nebraska. They were in Nebraska all summer. They made it back. They come here for the
winter.
winter.
We're not in the 90s no more.
No. We were talking about that, and they just shook their head. And the guy, the elder guy, he's like in their 70s or whatever, 80s. He's like, him and his wife, they're season ticket holders. They gave their tickets away, and he's like, 4 coaches. Like we have had 4 coaches because I've never experienced this as a Nebraska fan. It is a big problem. They just got rid of Scott Frost. They thought he was the hero.
First of all, the team was never built to move to another conference. That was the big mistake right there.
Yeah.
They should have stayed where they were. Another team that thought the grass was greener, they got a payoff, but they were never built to play in that conference. You know it, I know it, and Nebraska faithful know it.
No, they do. They do. Absolutely. Hey, more comments coming in. Let's see here. Dave Hoffman says, nothing about you just said has anything to do with a Philly cheesesteak. No peppers ever. Come to the tailgate. Hey, this is when the Eagles come in to play the Cardinals, so he's pumping up his tailgate spot. They do a pretty good job. Tell Mancini I have Amoroso rolls. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right.
They're good.
He'll know.
They're right from Philly.
All right. Okay. And did I say that right?
Yeah. And how about Mancini bread? You have the Mancini bread too from Pittsburgh?
Oh, the Mancini bread. Let's see, Dino, and you got to have the right bread. Oh, look at that. Everybody's talking about bread now.
Yeah.
Forget the
water,
calories.
Too. The water with the pizza. The water back east is the best. And you got to have the bread. Those two.
Well, Dave said for his tailgate, the Eagles, when they come, it was his cheesesteaks. He's literally shipping in the Amoroso rolls.
Amoroso, yeah, wow.
So you're going to get it right from Philly.
Fly.
Straight from Philly.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Hello, Lisa out of Iowa. She's a big Iowa Hawkeye fan. She took a big hit with her team last week. Let's see. I don't want to miss anybody, but this is some great comments. This Vince. I had Vince Caruso on earlier. He's going to the fight, Triple G and Canelo fight. Mariana, who's at work, she's a big Ram fan, and she's watching the show from work. That's awesome, man. I love that.
Big Ram fan.
Dino Pena, born in Philly. I do the real thing. Oh, you were born in Philly. Yes. Yeah, Dave was born in Philly. I thought Dino wasn't born in Philly. Was he? Let's see here. I hope Dino's okay. He's been drinking a lot in Vegas.
Poor guy, stumbling around. Probably hitting slot machines.
Anyway, what time is it, man? We got like 10 more minutes. And we're getting into a shootout version here midway through the fourth quarter, Mark.
So what games you want? We'll go through the games this weekend.
Yeah. Let me see. Right now I'm going to go through the games with them. I'm trying to see if I can get somebody online. I got somebody trying to come in. It says Vega. I don't know if it's Vegas or if it's Kathy. I'm not quite sure, but somebody's trying to pop online.
Is Kathy coming in?
I don't know. I hope she is. There's somebody there. I'm trying to pop her on. But if not, I'm just going to keep you there.
Tell her not to use spray paint.
All right. Let me get to the score. Let's do the breakdown, right? Okay, you took the Chiefs this weekend, right? Is that what you did?
No, I took the Chargers today.
Oh, you took the Chargers. I thought you took the Chiefs.
The Chargers.
Well, the betting guy said take the Chargers. Didn't mean win or lose, but take the Chargers. All right, so that's legitimate right there. All right, so let's break down the first game. NFL, you can never tell anymore, right? So,
Right.
besides this game, Dolphins at the Ravens. What a game right away. I mean, both teams are 1-0. It'd be huge if they go 2-0. It's in Baltimore. I'm not fixed on the Ravens. Everybody's on the hype machine because they played the Jets. That's a big difference. And I think Miami has the offense to expose that Raven defense. I don't think the Ravens have a pass rush. I really don't. I don't. I think the Jets just don't have a good offensive line.
I don't think the Dolphins can stop the run. Their run defense is horrendous. New England, was having their say with them pretty much. So I think if you're the Ravens, if you can run the ball down the Dolphins' throat, they can't stop it. If it ain't broke, why fix it?
All right, Jets at the Browns with the elf on the logo on the field. I'm
going to go with the Jets in this one because I think the Jets, I know it's in Cleveland and, the Browns have come off that win and everybody's on the Brissett wagon, but I just think the Jets have too much to lose if they lose this game.
Well, I believe Zach Wilson, the quarterback, the young quarterback, may be playing. There was talk. I read something yesterday and today that he was at practice and stuff. So they definitely need a boost at the quarterback position.
Yeah, they need full concentration with him. Let's not pick up the cheerleaders' phone numbers or go after, Cougars in the stands. Let's full concentration on the field so they can win the game and go back to New York.
All right, the Lions and the Commanders at Detroit.
This is a trap game for the the Washington team. I love them, but I don't know, man. The Lions came up short against the Eagles. As much as I like Washington, this is going to be an interesting game. I'll still stick with Washington. I think they have just enough to pull it out. They like to play small ball in Washington. Kind of like Indianapolis likes to do.
Yeah, they got to open it up more, man. Open it up in Washington. Here's a stat for you. There's a sleeper in your fantasy league that maybe you haven't picked up yet, but he plays for the Lions. And I have it on the screen for you right now. The most consecutive games with at least 8 receptions in NFL history, right? Consecutive games with 8 receptions. At number 5 or number 6 on that list is St. Brown, Detroit Lions wide receiver, currently playing 7 straight games, going for 8 this weekend. At the top of the list with 8 straight games is Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas, and then Anquan Bolden with 7 in 2005. And right now, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Kelsey, 7 games straight. But St. Brown, keep it up. Watch this guy, folks. It's an eye-opening that a receiver out of Detroit is making some news here on offense. Of all places, Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you know what else is amazing? Their coach, he's a real spark plug, man.
Right?
I don't know if he came out of the motivation classes or what, but this guy's, you talk about the fight coming up Saturday night, this guy could be ready to rumble, as a Michael Buffer or, something. But Dan Campbell's amazing over there in Detroit.
Let's get through the rest of the games, because if you want to talk the boxing at the end, that'd be great. But the rest of the games itself, Colts at the Jags. Man, like the Jags look good at times, and then it looked like the Jags, and the Colts look horrible, and then they made that big comeback, and then they end up in a tie. This is what September is. They're trying to figure each other out. I believe the Colts will be a much better team by the end of the season. I think the Jags will be a better team from a year ago, but I'm going to go with the Colts on the road in Jacksonville.
Well, that 2020 game scared me with the Colts, against Houston. They should have won that one, but I like the Jags in this one, and it's a home game for the Jags. And the Colts have had problems in Jacksonville. So it's going to be interesting. I like the Jags in this one.
It is in Florida. It's still going to be hot and heavy down there in Jacksonville. So you may have made a good point. We should check the weather forecast there too for the Colts, because the Colts play indoors. All right, here's a team that plays outdoors in Florida, but going indoors to a place where they haven't done well, Tom Brady, is New Orleans.
Yeah.
The Bucks at New Orleans itself, both teams are 1-0. Tom hasn't done well against the Saints.
Yeah, they kind of
As a
have
Buck.
his number, and
Right?
back to the Sean Payton days and everything. But I think, Tampa showed me something that they can run the ball down your throat with Fournette. They got wide receivers, and they got a quarterback that gets rid of that ball real quick there with a nice pass protection. So I think Tampa's going to figure out a way to win this game. I'm not saying they're going to blow the Saints out, but they'll figure out a way to exercise their demons.
Panthers at the Giants. I was really impressed with the Giants against the Titans had their chances to blow them out, and the Giants found themselves, like a lot of teams found themselves in the second half of their week 1 games. A lot of teams didn't, but there were teams that did, and the Giants were one of them. And they may have found their identity, their mojo. Obviously, Saquon Barkley. I'm going to roll with the Giants, and as long as Daniel Jones doesn't make his blunder mistake, he's got one of them that's costly, right? The Giants may be a team that's going to surprise a lot of people. They have a nice defense. They got a heck of a lot of weapons on offense.
Well, what people aren't talking about is they corralled Derrick Henry, and they kept him in check, and that's the biggest thing. And when you keep a guy like that in check, you're going to pull out a game. So, yeah, I think the Giants keep it going. They've kind of got rid of them 0-3, 0-4 starts the last couple of years. This is a team you got to watch out for. With the demise of Dallas right now, now you're going to see Philly, Washington Giants jockeying for position to hold court and whoever wins this thing.
All right. The Rams got I wouldn't say an easy one, but the Falcons, and the Falcons' history of blowing big leads seems like it's historic rate, the Falcons, but they did it again last weekend. The Falcons at the Rams. The Rams, they got 2 home games right out of the gates. If the Rams don't win this game and go 0-2 and they lose the first 2 games at home, man, there's problems. Don't count the Falcons out. They got more talent than they have in the past. This should be a Ram win. Should be, but we'll see.
Well, I think the key is, can they corral Pitts, the tight end there for Atlanta? This guy's a mainstay. He came out of Florida. He had a great rookie season. So I think that's going to be the big thing there. Can the Ram defense has holes in it. Jalen Ramsey's still in Stephon Diggs' pack in Buffalo there. They don't have the Von Miller. Aaron Donald doesn't know whether to retire or not. So I'm not, the Ram defense has some holes.
Mark, I'm going to say right now, and you can blab this all over LA if you can. All right. And hang on. The Chiefs are about to break this thing open here.
Wow.
But there is a flag. Let's see what happens. There is a flag. Hang on. Before we get into the LA Rams stuff. I was going to hold off on the Rams, but this is a big penalty. Personal foul, face mask, Chargers. They're going to tack on more yards. So the Chiefs are in a good spot. So the Chiefs basically found themselves – I really believe it, that it took them a first half because they finally had a football game to play, and they found out their mojo. So this is a good sign for your Chiefs fan that they after the Cardinal game didn't really have a great feel of a big battle, and now you found your battle and you got through it. All right, so let's get back to the Rams. Okay, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it, folks. Jalen Ramsey is on the decline. And he's been on the decline for over a season, not just last season, the prior season also. And it's for real. I've seen too many. He looks like Patrick Peterson when he was the Cardinals, and he started to having, like he can make all the plays. And then Patrick started figuring out, no, I can't make it. I'm always half a step behind, or I'm overreacting, And Jalen Ramsey is believing he has it, but he's not. It's not there anymore. He's come down. He's still good, but the way he thinks he can play like he was in his prime, that's gone, folks. I don't think it's ever coming back. And he's been exposed. He was exposed last season. He was exposed last week, and I don't think it's changing. And I think it just gets worse for him. And if I was an NFL team, don't be afraid to throw there. Patrick Peterson, they were afraid to throw to him. I remember working for Fox, and we used to target in our stat sheets to target the matchups of Patrick Peterson, who he's lining up against, right? And it was always a big deal because nobody threw there. Nobody wanted to throw towards Patrick Peterson. Then the stats started changing. They were throwing there, and then the numbers that we were seeing before were worsening for Pat Peterson.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And not only that, I think the other thing that's been exposed is that
and it got worse because this is for real.
Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp has been exposed too, because everybody knows they're going to Cooper Kupp. So, you know, they in the pass rush, I don't know about the losing Whitworth on that offensive line. It seems like the defenses are just, I mean, Buffalo just ran roughshod. It was like 7 sacks on Stafford and 3 interceptions. So what that's telling me is they can't sustain the defensive line, and this guy has to hurry his throws.
All right. More games, man. We got to get through them. We got to get through them. Seattle at San Fran. Is Seattle for real? I don't think Seattle impressed me that much. And San Fran, I know you played in the storm, but man, you played against the Bears and you made the Bears fans feel good. You know, the Bears maybe with 5 games this year, and you gave one of them. This wasn't supposed to be.
When you're playing on house money like Seattle is, anything's possible. Who says they can't go into San Francisco and beat them? I will tell you this. If they do go into San Francisco and beat them, that's the end of the Trey Lance experiment.
Right. You know, I think San Fran's going to get their wake-up call. The only problem I have is if it was Garoppolo, I would say San Fran wins this game. But this is Trey Lance. I have yet to see anything good.
Yeah.
Anything good. You know, and that's the part where Seattle could be like, you know, they can sneak this one and be 2-0, but I'm still not going to be impressed because I'm not impressed with the Niners offense because of their quarterback, and I just don't see it. So to me, both these teams are like where the Cardinals at. I don't see a whole lot.
Yeah, but how many games is Pete Carroll worth a year? That's what you got to say to yourself too.
Oh, I'll give that. Pete Carroll finds a way to get his guys up for a game. That's no doubt, no doubt. And maybe Seattle is better than we thought, but for the Rams, they just got to hold for it. They'll win that division only because the other are not going to be that good.
Yeah,
that's how, you know what I'm saying. And the Rams will be there. And the Rams will find a way. They'll make a trade at deadline, and they'll find a way to get an extra player or two because they need help, and they'll figure that out, and they'll spend the money, and that's what they do. And they did it last year.
They'll get rid of all their draft picks and won't have nothing until 2045.
Because it's all about now, and why not? I mean, it's all about now. Bengals at the Cowboys. Bengals get a big break here.
Yeah,
play the Cowboys. Dallas is at home. They can't lose 2 in a row at home. That's a debacle for them and their season. For the Bengals, they can't go 0-2 either. You know, and you know, like I said, if you're 0-2, your numbers of making the playoffs are down into the single digits, man, low single digits. So I don't think the Bengals.
Yeah, I think the Bengals. Cooper Rush is not the answer for a backup quarterback.
No, he's not. All right, Texas at the Broncos. I assume the Broncos will figure this out with Russell Wilson. But then again, when Russell Wilson plays his former team, they know Russell. They kind of know what he's doing, his tendencies, so maybe that helped. But the Texans did okay.
Yeah.
They did okay. But I'm going Broncos.
Yeah, I'm joining you on that one.
All right, Cardinals at the Raiders. I'm going Raiders right off the gates until I see the Cardinals can be better. The Cardinals will have a better game, I believe. They're getting some players back. But I'm going to go with the Raiders because the Raiders themselves are facing 0-2, and they were embarrassed a little bit. And Derek Carr didn't have a good game. And, you know, I'm just going to go with the home team.
You know what? The Raiders got too many weapons to go down 0-2. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they put 40 on the Cardinals like the Cardinals lost to the Chiefs.
If that happens, man, things are going to go nuts here in Arizona. Holy crap. Can you imagine that? All right. Bears at the Packers. I'm going Packers. I think last year the Packers got blown out in the first game, and then they steamrolled the rest of the way. The Bears, that surprised me because right now I need to see you and be surprised that you're legitimate. This isn't Green Bay. and Aaron owns the pet. He owns the Bears, right? He's their daddy.
How
Let's
many
face
times
it.
are we subject to watching Bears Packers at least on a Monday night, a Sunday night, a Thursday night?
It's Sunday Night Football.
Fed this again. I'm not a big fan of either one of these teams, but if I have to pick somebody, I think Green Bay seems to own Chicago, and as much as I hate to say it, I think the Packers win this game.
All right, we have 2 Monday night games. This is the first time we've done it before. The NFL has done it before, but now they're going to make it more. They're going to be more regularly shown. And so we got the Titans at the Bills. Great matchup in Buffalo. Bills going to have the fans are going to be rocking on Monday night. It's a 4:15 Mountain Standard Time start, which basically Pacific time. And while that game is going on, the second game will start like an hour later. Vikings at the Eagles in Philadelphia. So you'll have 2 games going on. So it's going to feel like a little Sunday to you. You know, they're not going to wait till one game is over. They're going to put them up against each other a little bit. One game will end, and the other game will end up finishing up your Monday night. That Monday night game for the Eagles is at 5:30, so that should end around 8:30 at night on the West Coast, 11:30 on the East Coast. So there you have it. I'm going to go Bills, and I'm going to go Eagles, home team.
Yeah, I'm going to join you on that one. I think that Eagle-Viking game could be an interesting one. It'll be close, but I think the Eagles pull it out. But the Bills, I think, are going to corral Derrick Henry. And then you're going to see back-to-back weeks where they take the Super Bowl champs out and they corral the best running back in the National Football League.
Hey, Mark, you know, as I'm watching this, I keep seeing it. I don't know. I think they're talking about it, but it looks like Justin Herbert is injured, like something with his left side arm, maybe his ribs or something here. And I caught him early getting a late hit, or he took a big hit, and he just threw a big pass. So maybe I should shut up. I got him down to the 5-yard line with about a minute and whatever seconds left in the game. But he's kind of like he's kind of like holding that side a little bit, but he just got it out that
where's
throw.
Geno Smith when you need him? Taking another IV on the sideline?
Oh my God. I'm going to keep you on.
Was that ever a mess?
I'm going to keep you on as this game is flowing here. Dino has a secret. Cardinals will win. They are the Road Warriors. Joe Gutierrez in the house. Dave's still talking away. There's Kathy. Kathy's watching. All right. Anyway, as this is going on, we're going to flop it on the screen one more time. This is the big fight on Saturday night, the third time. Three's a charm. Triple G, blah, 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 against Canelo. Here's the tail of the tape, meaning, you know, age. Triple G, Golovkin is 40 years old, but he's fighting. He's 40 years old, but he's more looking like 30, 35 in that body of his. And Canelo's 32 now. He's growing up, and he's a little older now. He has had the most fights at 61, where Golovkin has had 44 fights, and he's only 40 years old. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, the battles that you've had take more toll on the body, no matter what age you are. As we're going to watch, I'm trying to see if the Chargers can score a touchdown. Golovkin has lost 1 fight and 1 draw out of his 44 battles that he's had in his career. So I don't know if it's, you know, both have 39 and 37 knockouts between them. The height, they're basically the same height. No, actually, Golovkin's 2 inches taller, got a longer reach. They have both have the orthodox stance. On paper, it looks like they have been fighting a very even fight. And now people are talking like, well, Golovkin's old and he's not going to last that long. But I differ from that. I believe Golovkin will last longer. He's a different athlete, and 40-year-old athletes are different today. And I like to see if Canelo can withstand the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, 12th round. Also, it'll be a heck of a fight to watch. But your take on this one?
I like Golovkin too, because I've always liked the reach in boxers. And I think the experience factor comes into play here. Age. You throw analytics out, because I know analytics would probably have Canelo winning this fight. But if you throw all that out, you don't see the heart and soul of a guy.
Right.
And I think Golovkin's going to win this fight. I really do.
Wow. You like Triple G, huh?
Yeah.
The Chargers just scored.
Wow.
They just scored, so they got a chance. They're gonna have to go for one. There's no reason to go for two. You're gonna cut the lead down to 3 points if they can kick this extra point right here, and then
get an onside kick.
It's got to be the onside kick. So let's get this off the screen here. There you go. There you go. And then we'll wait this out, Mark. We're gonna wait this out because this is a heck of a game to watch. Everybody's enjoying it. I wouldn't say it's like the great matchup of two great young quarterbacks, but but they did bring a lot of fun and highlights tonight. So the extra point.
Did the Dodgers jump in your pool the other day when they clinched the National League West?
What was? Oh yeah, they did. Did they do it again? You said?
Yeah, they were. Everybody was talking about it out here, and I go, does anybody really care when teams are blown out by 30, 37 games?
Yeah, that's like the bully, like now I'm going to take your home. I mean, like it just classless if that's the case. Classless. All right, so we got 1:11 left in the game. It's 27-24. Chargers are going to have to onside it, and then the big difference is the game is the 98-yard or whatever interception pick six that Justin Herbert threw at the goal line is the difference of the game. Now, if you're the betting guy, this is exactly what I was telling you about, is that the road team is what you want to do when it becomes the Chiefs and the Chargers in this game. And this is it. It's right there again. It's amazing how it plays out. But we're trying to tell you early on and throughout the show. And we'll see how this onside kick goes. If they get it, here we go. We can't give you the play-by-play, Mark.
Well, if he gets it, it's pretty much over because then you can run the clock out if you get a first down.
Well, they're lined up for it. Here comes the smash. Here comes the onside kick. I'm just going to wait and watch it.
You better have your best wide receivers and your tight ends on that field.
Here's the kick. It's loose. It's loose. It's loose, man. It's loose. Oh, no. Looks like the streaker. Who got it? Chiefs. I think the Chiefs got it. Man, that was close. It happened. Oh, man. It happened. Let's go back to Utah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Utah and look at our Utah Utes.
Oh, my God.
They're painted boobies, okay? Painted boobies. All right.
Wow.
Anyway. And, ladies and gentlemen, looks like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game.
Yep.
And just like what they do, there's the newest thing going on around the NFL. It's the Mancini dance. It's the Mancini dance. That's what happens now around the NFL fans.
Yeah, I like that. Now you got to get the one with the black and the gold. That's the one you got to get. Looks like you got a nice crowd back there watching. This
they're very vocal tonight. They got a lot of Chiefs fans in this area. So,
geez, wait till the Flyers come to that town, man.
Yeah. You know what?
John Tortella's coaching them now. He'll have
tickets,
fights every day.
The tickets are expensive, man, because they're playing in a small arena. And
I wonder what the tickets are costing out there.
They're in the hundreds.
Yeah,
they're in the hundreds. But it's a great hockey little rink for college. It's a great view. They have they have a second tier, smaller, like about 10 rows
they got
around.
One. Hey, you got one bathroom in there? So if you're taking a leak, Malkin or Crosby are standing next to you.
Well, it's all over in KC. The Chiefs pull it off. A great battle. Two quarterbacks that, like they say, whoever has the ball last will win the game, and the Chiefs did because they just kind of sat on it. But hey, I got to tell you a story real quick about Arizona State and Sun Devil Stadium, the old Sun Devil Stadium. Yeah, I was at the Steelers-Cowboys Super Bowl back in Super Bowl 30, and they got the Super Bowl in Arizona because the Cardinals were promised to host the Super Bowl to help bolster the NFL environment there, and they got their Super Bowl, and it was Steelers-Cowboys, and you had to go to the bathroom, right? And in that old stadium, there was no like Johns. There were like tubs,
Yeah.
But it's didn't have enough bathrooms. Like the way you just said it, like how many bathrooms they have. They didn't have enough bathrooms. Now, not only just women going into the men's room, because the women's room was like, you're at a Super Bowl and everybody's waiting to go to the bathroom. I saw guys peeing in the sink because there was it was not enough bathrooms in that old stadium to have that Super Bowl. So people were trying anywhere to relieve themselves. So like the sinks were full of urine. It was it was nuts. It was crazy. It was nuts. And I was like, I was afraid to drink anything because I didn't I didn't want to go to the bathroom. I did it once and I hung on the rest of the game.
Yeah. Shoot,
all right,
I'm gonna
Mark.
break a bladder. Yeah, next week, baby. I can't wait. I love this show. Say hi to everybody, man.
I know you had a long day.
We got to get you back in Philly, man.
Yeah, let's get them on the show here for the week of the Eagles. They'll try to get, some of your guys on your show in Philly. But we'll have fun. I had a great time here at JJ's Grub Shack doing the show earlier. I'm going to grab some grub here and enjoy the rest of my evening, Mark. But it was fun. Hey, man, you hung on, man. Like 45, an hour. You did an hour.
We do it, baby. It's a show, man. We tear up the airwaves, man.
Always.
I love
Always
you,
tearing it
brother.
up. All right, and have a good night.
You too.
Mark Mancini out of Los Angeles does a great show also from Los Angeles in Philly and Miami and other places around the country too. But he's always with me on Thursday nights as the Hanna Mancini version of the show as we wrap that up. But we had a jam-packed, informative show. The fans were great. Online, you guys commented off the charts itself. I want to say hi to everybody and thank you one more time. You guys were fantastic. And we'll catch you on Sunday post-game right here at JJ's Grub Shack here in East Mesa, Arizona, following the Cardinals-Raider game. And who knows, we may have another special guest, former player, joining us here at JJ's Grub Shack. A lot of players hanging around here, folks. I'm telling you, you want to be here. For Mancini, Vince Caruso, who was on the show earlier, talking boxing, great boxing segment of the show for the big fight on Saturday night. Cornelius Brad Hanna, your host here on Hanna Time, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. We'll see you Sunday.